could conquer the night if I can make it, if I try to draw the red light. I could run through the fire, I could conquer the night if I can make it, if I try to draw the red. Conquer the night if I can make it, if I try to draw the red light. I could run through the fire, I could conquer the night if I can make it, if I try to draw the red.
Thinking that I could have done something, but now I'm left with an empty heart. No making amends, no waking up beside you and holding you till we forget it all. How could I know there was no second chances? Like dominoes, my life got really scattered. You couldn't keep the door shut, and now the frostbite's creeping in. 'Cause I've been stone cold since you left me here. So come home, why won't you reappear? Things that I said came out totally wrong. Can't speak of the truth when it's tainted. I fell into a big black hole. It got me stone cold. Wizard of Oz can't undo what I've done. Completely out of luck this time. I'm stuck in reverse. I gotta get away now, but I can't seem to take the lead. Oh baby, fainted. I fell into a big black hole. It got me stone cold. You got me stone cold. You got me stone cold. You got me stone cold. Got me stone cold.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Badass University All Stars. I'm Jerry the Music Man. I'm joined by the impeccable Cairo on my left here, and we have a fantastic Playday. Of course, we do. We always do here at Bull. We've got some really important games. This is essentially the penultimate play week, and we're halfway through it. We've got 2 games today, and then on the weekend, it's pretty much do or die for those key playoff spots. But let's get right into it. Our first game today, we have Deviants and Veggie Patch. And Cairo, you were talking to me before this broadcast about how important these games are, not just this one, but also the later one, in terms of standings and possible guaranteeing of those playoff spots.
Yeah, without a doubt. So for our first matchup here of Deviants versus Veggie Patch, if Deviants decide that they want to lose this match and they don't put up as much effort as what they possibly should, then they put themselves in a relegation match of sorts for next Playday against Triton. And I mean, that's just not a position you want to be in, especially with, I guess, Triton are kind of like this, I don't know, this cannon that keeps misfiring, but eventually is going to hit the trigger.
You hope so. They are just... It's a weird one. Veggie Patch, they've been so inconsistent. It's very weird. I was looking at kind of bans and things and results just before we started today, and there's no overriding trend in map choice or in performance. They seem to perform differently against sort of differently ranked sides. So, they've beaten
Yeah.
Ludens, who are currently top, but then they've struggled against teams like Wombats and dropped points to 9. And it's just all over the place with them. They've lost to Atlas and Triton as well. Or no, sorry, they beat Triton. That's what I mean. It's just all over the place. There's no sort of consistency. And we expect to see a lot from them, especially at the start of the season when we're looking at their lineup and we're saying, they are a force to be reckoned with on paper, and on the right day, it seems that's true. But on any other day, it could be complete falsehood. It's very inconsistent from them overall, and they're going to hope to gain some consistency hopefully in these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, without a doubt. So we'll need to talk about, obviously, the players that are going to be playing today, Jerry. And, I mean, on the Deviant side, we have Sondanos, AC Kovac, Magpie, Shinigao, or otherwise known as Max D, and James Earl Grey. I mean, 2 players that stand out straight to me here, Jerry, is Sondanos, or Scuba Steve, as he likes to be called, and Shinigao. So, I mean, you can't really look by these players because they can pop off at any point.
Yeah, they have that capability, and apologies if I appear to be time traveling. This is something that plagues me and our producer particularly. It's just whenever we work together, something goes wrong, but it's all good. Anyway, so they have, like we said, that powerful roster. I'm just going to give my face a moment to catch up. Just give me 2 seconds.
Well, you just getting out the DeLorean for us, Jerry?
Yeah, exactly. I'm hitting 88 miles per hour constantly, it seems. Nothing is stopping me. So, yeah, where were we? We've talked a fair bit about Veggie Patch. Deviants are also... They're not the most consistent roster either, or the most consistent performers, but they are just sitting a couple of points behind Veggie Patch at the moment. Maybe now is a good time to bring up those standings to see how the teams are going and where we currently sit. And of course, the addendum to this to mention is that we are only, we've had 3 games yesterday and we have 2 more today. So, here we go. There we are. So Ludens sitting at the top with 15 points. That's after their victory yesterday. IOM and 9 yet to play as well. That is our final game of the day. So IOM do, of course, have the opportunity to put themselves in first, as do Team 9. Either one of them, in fact, as you mentioned before we started, will guarantee themselves a top 4 spot if they win their game outright later on. But this one here, with Deviants and Veggie Patch, it's more of a kind of making sure you get playoffs or preventing yourself from missing out on them.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, we need to see, obviously, what map we're going to be getting to, Jerry. But, I mean, when you look at these 2 teams and you look at the inconsistency, I mean, Deviants are the only team to actually 7-0 someone in regulation rather than like a forfeit, etc. With that being said, with them having that quality and them just not continuing that standards, you can't help but feel that this match really has some sort of variable where anything can happen.
The hardest game to call of the lot this week. We're just going to have to see how it pans out because, like we said, it is a pair of inconsistent rosters facing off against each other, and there's really no way we can divulge anything from it. Deviants, in one way, they're slightly more consistent, and that's with their map picks. We've seen them take a lot of Villa this season, a lot of Oregon. That being said, they have also been known to ban Oregon out first. So, whereas Veggie Patch are just all over the place when it comes to their matches. Now, Villa and Cafe are the auto bans. So Villa, not a possibility this week for the Deviants. They do like going there, seems quite often, and their most recent map there, so it's auto banned. Coastline and Chalet next on the chopping block, and I'm very much expecting an Oregon here overall because these are it's a map that both the teams are fairly comfortable on. It's still in this final 3. And we'll get to see what it is. No, in fact, Deviants have banned out the Oregon. So, yeah, they do this from time to time. They ban out Oregon. Maybe seeing that Veggie Patch are fairly proficient on it. They've had a couple of good games there, a couple of bad games there. So, Clubhouse, a fairly standard one. Interestingly, though, not very frequently played, I don't think, by either of these sides in the past few weeks. So, we'll get to see how they go.
That is really interesting. Obviously, Clubhouse is a map that really determines how it's going to be played by the map, the kind of operator bans
Yeah.
that happen on the map. So it'll be interesting to see what the two teams decide to go for. I do believe we are slowly just going to get into this matchup just now. But with that being the case here, Jerry, what are you expecting in terms of the operator bans?
Well, a Maverick ban is fairly common,
Yeah.
but more common than that, you'll get the Thatcher ban. I think we're likely to see whoever bans first do that. And that is, of course, going to be the Deviants, as they have opted to start on defense, it being effectively Veggie Patch's map pick. Thatcher being that ban straight off the bat. Sometimes you see the Hibana bans come through. Occasionally a Monty ban as well. He's certainly more powerful here than on a lot of other maps. So that is definitely an option. We'll see what Veggie Patch will want to do. Don't necessarily know exactly who on the Deviants is a potent threat on any... Oh my god, okay, they've gone with no operator. Okay. Alright. maybe asleep at the wheel? Maybe someone was... I can't see the text. This is the... I really do like that we get to see our faces between these bands, but I don't get to see close... okay, no, it seems like they're saying saving strats for playoffs. I've got my other feed open. So yeah, Veggie Patch hiding everything. It seems no bans from this side. That's going to screw me over because I've just made the transition to an online sort of spreadsheet thing where I keep track of my bans, and I've just realised I haven't included no ban as an option.
Well, Warden being banned by Deviants is another interesting one, but
this is a
right. Something I literally just wanted to make a comment on the fact that with this being the case, I have the opinion that Thatcher is a worthless ban on Clubhouse. It's not worthless, but I think that being so deep into kind of Siege's lifestyle, like, you know what I mean, kind of life cycle, that people should be able to actually bandit trick efficiently on towards that Clubhouse CC wall, as well as other areas. So I don't know, Jerry. I feel as if I go on a bit of a tangent when it comes to that one. But yeah, I always feel that potentially Maverick and Flores bans are more efficient when it comes to this map.
So I did figure from some of those bans that we were going to get a bit of a meme fest here. And it looks as though the Meimeis are out in force because we're starting off with a 6-pick 2 and Amaru from Harambe, the legendary man himself. Yeah, this is to be expected. I don't know how exactly you leverage an Amaru on this site. There's no hatch to play into. There's one window, and that would be fairly telegraphed if you're going to be using that as your entry point. It's not a safe way in at all. I don't know. Look, he's got his drone into construction, so maybe he's just looking to like zip in there as soon as possible.
That's what I was going to say. I think it's probably like he's trying to go in through a construction area and pop up through that hatch, but and maybe catch a few players off guard. But we'll need to see if that is the case.
So, on the defensive side of things, it's looking a bit more standard. Deviants have a very solid lineup. I love the fact that Magpie is playing as the Jaeger with those Magpies, as they're sometimes known. Spacey Bobcat is getting close to this door. They know that Shinigao is possibly very close, but as I speak of Magpie, down goes the bird himself. Harambe has managed to send himself full into construction and is rewarded with an early kill and a swift exit as well. Very nicely done by the Amaru. That's exactly what you want. In fact, it looked like it was just sending in Master Bedroom.
I think... Oh no, a nice kill from Max D to actually pick up Icy. There goes your Maverick, and that's going to leave that wall shut for the time being. But they do have an ace, so maybe potentially that could actually get impact tricked later in the round, but again, more to be seen. Something I like to comment is the fact that Errol Grey, not James Errol Grey, it's just normal Errol Grey, he likes to actually run up, get a kill, and then dip. He does this quite a lot. I've seen him do it against Atlas, and it's a fairly good strategy when you think about it, because then you start to scramble, like, where did they go? Where did they come from? That kind of thing. It's like the pantomime villain.
Cotton Eye Joeing them, as I like to call it. I like the idea of Earl Grey having multiple forms. Like he's got Earl Grey, and now this is James Earl Grey, his like alter ego. But anyway, away from that nonsense, Icy being picked off very early on as a Maverick has left a bit of a awkward situation for these guys. Harambe finding himself in garage as an Amaru would, apparently, and being taken out by Sandanos. AC Kovac as well finding one onto stakes. So that's not great. I don't think Veggie Patch, besides that impact from Amaru at the very start, have successfully set foot in the building.
Yeah,
Being picked apart.
It get worrying though, Jerry, when you think about it. They've not even gained control of rafters, and there is like a minute left. It looks as if AC Kovac is going to get aggressive and pick up that frag onto 8 Spacey Roadcat. So that's a huge kill, and then Sondanis finishing off Storm. A really dominant performance from Deviants, even though they did give away that early first frag.
Yeah, there's not much to say about that, really. It was Deviants holding their own, and Veggie Patch were very disconnected. There was a couple of nice picks, particularly the one you highlighted from Max D under the breach onto the Maverick. That really stunted the entire push from Deviants. They just couldn't get the sightline they needed to pressure the Rafters player from that point on. And then I'm not really sure why Harambe was in the carriage by himself. I think he's just playing for the Techers, to be honest. He's going for clicks. He's picking Thinker so that he can lock in the 6 pick to whoever he wants every round. While the rest of his team try and do stuff, he's now switching to Fuse, apparently. Which, to be fair, has its uses on this basement attack. You know, get a couple of those cluster charges off inside the kitchen. You might be rewarded with a couple of cheeky kills, but more importantly, you're going to be removing some useful utility around that kitchen area to facilitate a drop. But besides that small area of the map, most of this bottom floor is completely indestructible from above, so you're not going to see exceptional value from that operator. However, the secondary hard breach charge does give him something to at least contribute to the team with.
Yeah, definitely. The thing is, though, I feel as if like picking the Fuse is such a right. Fair enough. Like he is viable on this site, but I feel as if there's so many other operators that are better than a Fuse. If that makes sense. Like, for instance, potentially a secondary hub. I don't know. I always feel I'm dead pedantic when it comes to this stuff, and I feel as if I get caught up in the semantics of like these operators being brung. When I try to analyze it, they always do end up getting like some sort of worth or value out of their picks. But I mean, talk about worth.
To be fair, you did mention it yesterday that sometimes the pick is just for the gun, like Na'Vi bringing Frost, for instance, for the shield and the 1.5. And to be fair, a lot of people now bringing this Mozzie just for the Roni is a solid weapon. And, you know, the pests are a little bit of a bonus. They do cause a bit of problems, but a lot of players don't really fall foul of losing their drone to them anymore. So they just act as kind of weaker versions of mute jammers, and you know, at that point, why not just bring a mute with an MP5K and a 1.5 scope on that? But you know, each to their own. If people like the Roni, it can be a headshot machine. AC Kovac below kitchen right now has that pulse scanner, playing Canadian like a true Canadian, and he has sent out the first C4. Sandanos as well has missed with his, so only really Shinigao who has one himself, but Harambe does actually get something from that LMG on the Fuse, finding the kill onto Kovac, so no more pulse, and not being able to read into the direction of this push is going to be a bit costly potentially for Deviants, but Shinigao is just making the gunplay work as he takes out Icy for the second round running.
Yeah, he's really popping off here. Spacey Bobcat takes a huge amount of damage and finally dropped onto the ground as Sondanos continues his reign on the roam. He's continuing to work here, but he is going to take a bit of damage. I believe that was from outside. Harambe trying to do his work, and Stakes moving down the main stairs could potentially catch Shinigao off guard, but he's waiting to swing. He's waiting to pick up that frag, and pick up he shall. Shinigao with a double, no, maybe a triple on the round actually. It's all up to Harambe with this Fuse LMG.
Ooh, and he's on a smidgen of HP right now, so it's going to be a tough ask for him. He's got the silencer on the LMG as well. Oh my god, that is disgusting. That is like, I cannot think of an analogy for something as horrible as that. That's like, I think I've used this one before, but it's just a crime against nature. It's like seeing someone trying to grate mozzarella, but instead of using a grater, they're like trying to punch it through a sieve. That's what that LMG loadout looks like to me.
Yeah.
It's horrific.
Well, casters shouldn't talk about suppressors too much, or bad things can happen. So, moving on to moving on to the third round, we are going to head to gym and bedroom. And so far, Deviants have been putting up a hell of a battle against Veggie Patch, and really showing why they are the ones to go through into playoffs and not make it a relegation battle versus Triton. What we do need to remember is when it comes to standings, it all comes down to head-to-heads on the scoreboard. And if we look back a couple of weeks here, I'm just going to remind you. Oh no, wait, sorry. I don't know why I'm talking about this, because Deviants have to play Triton, and that's the closest they've got. So, in the grand scheme of things here, Jerry, if they win against Triton, or even get a sorry. Oh my God, let me speak. If they win today, they basically confirm their playoff spot because they go 1 point just out of reach of Triton. It's Atlas that it comes down to, but I'm not going to get into the semantics again of league standings because we tried to do it yesterday.
it's a pitfall that is just so easy to land in. It's barely worth doing. But you are right. Essentially, they need points. That is it. They want points. Points mean prizes. That's as simple as we'll need to make it for us here. Points mean prizes, and they want to win to get the points, to get the prizes.
Yeah, that without a doubt. The prize is obviously playoffs and getting to be casted even more by lovely people like us.
Yeah, that's the reward, is to have us talk about them.
Yeah, exactly.
God Lord, that I hate. I mean, I love sounding conceited. It's like one of my favorite pastimes, but and we're very good at it as well.
Yeah,
I'm incredibly good at sounding very up myself. So I'm maybe the best person ever at sounding up myself.
See, honestly, like I
Which
like
is
to
itself
pretend
up myself. Like that, saying that in itself is up myself.
I like to pretend that people come to watch all my casts for me and not for the people who is actually playing. But I mean, they might be coming to watch Icy's. He's picked up a double so far on the round here, Jerry, on that Maverick. A nice little frag grenade into the site, and obviously using that rifle to pick up another. So far, it's all good for Veggie Patch. But this is a tertiary site for Deviants here, Jerry. So they won't be really that worried that they lose out on the tertiary site, but they'll still be wanting to pick up this extra round. And with the way it is looking like Veggie Patch are starting to become like sharks round about this site. They're circling around. They're trying to close in, put this pressure onto the remaining players. They are opening up into Logi, trying to see if they can maybe get a pick, use these drones to find the information of players. But Max D is still alive, and if there's anything to go off for the past couple of rounds, him and Sondanos can do real work.
Yeah, there's a hell of a lot of names that aren't the right names in this lobby, so in case you're new, we'll do a run-through of those after this round, but at the moment we've got some action in place, so let's keep our eye on the ball. Lots of, a lack of denial is the problem here for Deviants. They may be 3 versus 5, and of course that puts them at a disadvantage, but if there was a smoke in this lineup, you're looking at it and thinking, maybe it's doable. Soundownos finding the kill onto Harambe does give us a little bit of that hope, and it is just going to have to be all about the gun skill here from Deviants and the positioning, making sure that they don't give anything away here. Soundownos playing this gym position very admirably, and he does expect the push from Storm, but it's actually going to be Shinigao who claims those kills and one or two stakes. They've turned this into a 3 versus 2. Veggie Patch are falling apart at the seams. James Gray taking a bit of damage from the windows, but it's only Icy and Spacey Bobcat left, and they have to find some kind of pick, but the cover is just being so well utilized by the Deviants. Forced to jump in, the Maverick does manage to take down one more. Icy, he's on for an ace potentially if he finds the kills, but Spacey Bobcat will make sure that that's not the case. All up to Shinigao now with the Bailiff in hand. He doesn't quite connect enough with Spacey Bobcat. The knife kill comes out as they rush each other. 1 second left, and he gets the final kill with the Bailiff. Max D! What a clutch! That made no sense at all, Cairo!
How do you lose that one out, Jerry? How do you even... There was 3 people left on Veggie Pat. No, sorry, on Deviants. 3 people left, and I said Sondanos and Max D are alive. These are the people who could clutch up. They've been doing work and work. They did. I don't really know if I want to like try and analyse what happened in the clutch, because the bailiff play, like add the knife. Oh no.
It makes no sense. Like the Hibana, Spacey Bobcat jumps in and gets a kill with the Type 89. Did he then switch to the bearing to try and duel with Max D? Because that must have happened. There's no way that as a Hibana you go in for the melee in that situation. And the worst part about it was that Icy he was like watching the whole thing. He could have gone prone inside a gym, used those footholds to quite easily dispatch with Max D, but he had no clue what was going on. And now we're looking at a situation where Deviants, they're 3-0 up. Max D is on an absolute tear. He's 9-0. I mean, he's putting literally everyone else in the server, not just the opponents, but also his own teammates to shame with the performance he's bringing out here. He's on another level. And, I mean, if you can pull off stuff like that, then that explains it all.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have got away with it.
You know what? It is leaving me speechless. Genuinely leaving me speechless after what I've just watched. But do you know what? Fair play. I mean, they've done the work they need to do, and now we move on to the next round. But Cherry, really questionable things here, and you can't help but feel that as an own goal for Veggie Patch, leaving them potentially in a really bad position because they could actually end up dropping out into the relegation battle next week, but we'll need to see obviously with the way the standings do end up going. Looks as if Veggie Patch are going to try and smarten up their act, open up in towards Garage. No sort of troll plays this time, bringing out any sort of questionable operators. It's all pretty standard stuff, but do you know what's not standard? Leaving Spacey Bobcat down and now out. See, we had the grenade come through, that would be get rid of any sort of mute jammers, but that's not going to be the case as it doesn't even get through the breach.
Yeah, some trouble here for the attackers. Obviously, losing the Zofia usually quite a big deal, but when you've got the Maverick on board to get this wall open, it doesn't necessarily mean as much. Max D, though, already onto those double digits and then some, but he is going to be taken down after trying to go for the same trick that he got on the very first cash defense. He's already claimed a couple of lives just from that highway window, so he can be happy with his performance this round still. But that's his first death. And now the question is, are the rest of Deviants going to be able to pick up the slack in a 4 versus 3? It's certainly doable. They've got players in interesting positions, perhaps unknown. Sandownos down here in Oil Pit does have intel to help feed Kovac, who's playing up on those rafters. And then you've got the two remaining anchors of James Elgrey and Magpie just sitting, biding their time for the time being. They don't need to do anything really. The onus is on Veggie Patch to try and claim some important ground, and they've decided that that important ground is Garage.
Yeah, Garage is really a key place when it comes to Clubhouse CCTV defence, Jerry, because this rafters position can really slow things down. This is where, I mean, almost all executions do come from as we see grenades start to go out, but they've not even burned the ADSs, and it looks as if AC Kovac, getting aggressive, picks up Harambe. And, well, he's going to get picked up himself from the man outside. That is Icy, the Maverick. But does that open up Garage for them? Does that open up the execute? They'll need to try and get things done shortly because there's only 40 seconds remaining and still plenty of utility.
Bit of a run out coming through. Not sure where that was, but Storm does find the entry he needs. However, Icy, who's been a big impact player so far for Vigipatch, is taken down by James Elgrey, who gets away with it, manages to skirt back to the top of Red Stairs. Now Storm has himself in a 1v2. Certainly winnable, but they have these hold preps. Sandownos pre-firing a couple. James Elgrey goes to the pinch and a wonderfully executed 2v1 there. There was every possibility that they could have thrown that, but that was a very clean pinch coming out to seal the deal for the Deviants, and they continue this freight train, finding their 4th round in a row.
Well, I mean, if we go back to meta and metas and start talking about all that nonsense, Jerry, then, I mean, Vigipatch aren't too far out. They only need 2 more rounds, but the way things have been going, I mean, it's all been in favour of the Deviants. And on top of that, considering the fact that Clubhouse recent meta, it's all been very attacker-sided, we could potentially be seeing, and I'm going to call it here, a second 7-0 of the season.
Could happen, yeah. I mean, it's happened. Was it against Vigipatch that this happened? No, sorry, it was against Frogs that happened from Deviants. So we know that Deviants are capable of dishing out 7-0s. That one was on Villa. There are a fair amount of similarities between these two maps in terms of the level of strategy that you need to bring, the sort of freedom that you have in terms of roaming, and strategy in terms of, like, on this bottom floor defense, for instance, is very similar to a dining room defense. You have the option of, like, hunkering up a little bit, but generally you'll have a couple of people shoot drones and fall back and then play the site. It's a decent site, plenty of anchoring positions. They're just... What I'm saying is there's a lot of parallels between these two maps, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a 7-0. The way that this is going, Deviants have been pretty dominant, bar that one round, which Veggie definitely should have won. Okay, here's my bet. Here's my prediction. I think a 7-1. I reckon Veggie win a gym attack, and then Deviants close it out. There we go. That's set in stone. Set in stone. See,
yeah,
hold me
there
to
we
that.
go. Oh no, I thought Icy was going to be put in dirt, to be honest, after that almost misplay, but not to be. It looks as if Shinigao is going to continue to roam in towards Kitchen. A fairly aggressive positioning here, but will he get caught out, or will he catch other people out?
Oh my god!
Out, only picks up one. What? Just they all lined up, but they couldn't even pick up all the frag. He couldn't even pick up one frag. What?
That's a situation where the Commando may well have been a better choice as a weapon. That body shot capability, the extra damage, super important. James L. Gray taking down Icy, also important, as we see Veggie go for a full send through Dirt Tunnel. They manage to make it past Magpie. They take down Kovac, but Magpie responds with a double of his own. Storm takes him out, and now it's 2 versus 1. Saldownos now has to respond. He has a C4 to open up a rotate. He may use it as a bit of a bait and switch. He does, in fact, sets that off. Storm trying to defuse. Gets a spray onto the yellow ping, but it's not quite enough. The Storm is very lit up. Saldownos now caught between a couple of vultures here. They know his location. He's stuck inside a church. Post-plant situation. He needs to get a pick on one of them. Decides to go for the blue rotate, but Storm is there. Catches him out with this lovely angle held between the bomb chassis and the cabinets, and that is a very successful rush from Veggie They saw their round was falling apart at the seams, and they decided, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it was falling apart at the seams, because, I mean, if Max had actually picked up that frag, then I don't know, that round could have been totally different if that play had came off, Jerry.
Yeah, it was
so
a close one. I'm surprised he didn't get droned out. Like,
yeah,
that's a bit negligent, to be honest.
I think
he caught a drone, didn't he, with his pest, like, right next to him.
As I was going to say, I think that that potentially was what like kind of kept him alive there. The fact, but I mean, even at that, surely you go up to kitchen window. I know there's like you're going for the rush, etc. But surely you check it or at least something like that. You know what I mean? Just do the due diligence that is required on a map like Clubhouse.
There was one piece of the puzzle, I think, for Deviants that meant that they failed in that round, and that was the inability of Kovac to find a frag on anyone that came pushing out of that door. It was essentially a bottleneck, and the fact that he was a pulse means that he knows that that's coming. He gets the call from his teammate James L. Gray, who does go down inside of Dirt Tunnel just a few seconds prior. Magpie's got the heads up play. He's watching. He knows what's going on. If Kovac had been able to contribute to that engagement, and I mean, maybe he did. Maybe he sprayed a couple of bullets and Magpie picked up the kills. But if we see Kovac in the kill feed in addition to Magpie in that situation, then there's no way that Veggie win that. They had, I believe, a man advantage at that point, but they're still wandering through a bottleneck. So, yeah, a little bit lax. Saldownos also perhaps a little slow to respond, but I mean, it is a rush, so you can understand that.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, the thing is, though, like, even a C4, if that C4 rains out, it literally just needs to pick up one. Do you know what? There's no point talking about last round because we would be sitting here for ages. It looks as if Veggie are trying more of the same as Icy and Stakes are pushing down dirt. Diffuser left cold outside. Maybe potentially that could hinder them later in the round if they don't actually go back and pick that up. Stakes already with an angle in towards site. I mean, you can't help but feel as if Deviants have already done their due diligence, sort of changing up this tactics, and James LK dropping back with that SMG11 does pick up a freebie onto Stakes, and Veggie could make this very hard for themselves.
The problem there is that they hadn't established kitchen control before the Yana decided to peek, and that meant that these positions could still be held. Shinigao finding himself a C4 kill onto Storm means that sledge is dealt with, and there's going to be very limited self-destruction remaining. The TCSG appears in our kill feed. It's been a long time coming. I have missed this gun sorely, and it will find yet another attacker. 5 versus 2 for Deviants. They're looking to lock this one out with a 5-1 split. Icy pushing solo. No, not solo, in fact. Spacey Bobcat has joined him in Dirt Tunnel, but this time with a man advantage. They are staring at this bottleneck. Magpie is caught out by Spacey Bobcat, not expecting, again, the full send through this hole. But James Earl Grey will pick it up. Backing out of Dirt Tunnel seemed to be the right play for the smoke this round.
Yeah, a huge play by the smoke to drop out and, I mean, just create that bottleneck that we talked about previously, but this time when you've got two CQC weapons in the SMG-11 and a shotgun, Jerry, I mean, you can't walk through into that because it's just danger. But anyway, we move and switch sides. CCTV and cache, everything that we've known about previously can go essentially out the window because it really doesn't matter. The only thing that matters now is the scoreline. So, with that being the case, Deviants are 2 rounds away from finishing up this matchup. Are you going to call it, Jerry? Are you going to say a Veggie Patch comeback?
No, Veggie Patch just haven't turned up. That's the long and short of it. They started as they meant to go on with very little coherence. You know, we saw the Amaru pick work to an extent. They got that early frag in the very, very first round, just sending into Master Bedroom, catching a roamer off guard, but it was indicative of their entire game plan. There's not enough strategy, or not enough depth to their strategy, I should say, for the most part. We just saw 2 consecutive church defenses where Veggie Patch only decided to attack Kitchen and Dirt Tunnel. That is not how you succeed on that map, and at least not with that level of miscoordination. There was no cover for the person pushing out of Dirt Tunnel at the very start from above, and that just meant that Deviants were very easily able to sit in these positions around the corners, directly under the hatch even, and wait for the push to come to them. They weren't pressured out of those spaces, and it's just basic stuff really. Unfortunately for Veggie Patch, hate to hark on about it, but Deviants have just been on another level. So yeah, 7-1. Like, yeah. That is, I'm staying with it, 7-1.
See, the thing is though, in Siege, like, everybody thinks to themselves, well, when they're making strats, let's do all the cool ones like the SSG roam and other really complicated strategies, but sometimes the best ones that work are the ones that really require almost no coordination, and maybe just going off an individual aspect is a good idea, as we see Harambe picking up the first frag on the round, but we've been here before, Jerry. Veggie Patch picking up the first frag does not mean that they will win this round.
Not necessarily. Deviants, though, do have a much harder task on attack. Harambe just sitting right around the corner from Sandownos. If he gets a little bit of intel and swings nicely, then he could get a cheeky pick onto the Ash, who is just sitting here completely unaware of the proximity of the mute. This is surely only a matter of time. Harambe just round the corner. Go on, you got a free pick waiting for you. How's he? Oh, come on. This is tantalizingly close. The ping comes out, and there we go. Finally, he springs onto Sandownos. Just biding his time. Good patience. Now 3 versus 5. Diffuser cold outside. Not the worst thing in the world for Deviants, but Harambe is actually going to aggress onto that position, expecting the pressure. There's a drone to his left, so his position may well be known if someone's playing with the audio. James Elgore is going to hop onto it. Kovac just sitting on highway, looking to try and get a couple of picks from this position. And really, it's only James Elgore that's applying any sort of pressure to Rafters directly. Of course, you have got Magpie playing this long angle, but he's not a factor anymore. Storm will take him out. More SMG-11 work coming through, and Kovac will find Harambe, but it's a 2 versus 4, Cairo.
Well, we've seen 2 men pop off before, but it's not the 2 same men that we saw previously. It's only AC Kovac and James Earl Grey, but I mean, the work that they've done so far is not a bad way to go about things. It's all up to AC Kovac, but Storm from the rafters, picking him up, collecting the last frag in. Well, if you're looking for tips and any sort of betting, do not go to Jerry, because it is now 5-2. Deviants.
Right.
Go on.
Yeah, you got me. I'd like to say, to justify that, it seems as though Veggie Patch, with a bit of freedom on defense, is not as big an issue. Right? They don't need to be coordinating necessarily with each other as much. They were playing fairly close together, and that was enough. There was a little bit of solo play coming through from Harambe, and he got his reward for it. Once you got that man advantage on defense, it's a lot easier to carry it through to a win. So, yeah, I'm struggling now, because I'm wondering what it's going to take for Deviants to best them. Maybe it's just the difference of an opening pick. If they get that, then they should have what they need to execute with a full strategy, and maybe that's all it takes. But Only time will tell. And yeah, don't come to me for bets. I'm clearly not. I'm not as clever as I think I am.
Well, I mean, probably the better idea was just not to bet. Don't bet. Only bet
Yeah.
with channel points. We do not condone betting. But
True.
anyway, we move forward into this round as well. It is the bar. Sorry, I say bar stock. It's certainly
Oh, we
not bar
wish.
stock. I wish it was bar stock. It's icy and bar stock, but we're in Church and Arsenal here.
So, on the subject of bar stock, just
Yeah.
while this setup is going on, you excited for the rework where it's going to become bar stage and we might actually see 4 sites played on Clubhouse?
See, I've not really been into the test server, right? And see, when I have a look, when I think
Nor
about
have
it, I just haven't. Like, I've just literally not got the time. I'm too busy playing
Yeah.
League and other stuff, and too busy casting all the greatest things in the world. No, but honestly though, I don't think the changes are enough. Yeah, you can rotate more freely within bar stop, but I've not really had like a proper roam about the map and seen what potentially the improvements would be for the site, because I still feel as if it's far too open. There's so many entrances into that site that it just makes it unviable for myself.
I think the key lays in top down, because you have the opportunity to hold a couple of like potential bottlenecks into these sites with vertical angles, and we know that a gym defense is, you know, viable. So if you hold those areas, then it may be possible to keep a lock on the site. I'm excited because obviously the weakness of that site is mainly the stock area. Like,
Yeah.
it's so easy to get off a smoke plant in there. There's virtually nothing you can do. And again, that is also holdable from above, but it's just spreading yourself so thin. If you've got to control most of the top floor and most of the middle floor, you're going to lose a piece somewhere. There's going to be an opening. Yeah, a little bit more concise, a little bit more of a tight area to have to control, and I think it might be possible. I'd love to see some pocket strats in the future.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, the thing is, though, Jerry, so far we've seen people spread a bit thin, and I mean, I guess Veggie Patch will be get spread even further because there is a man down in Storm holding down Duck himself. We'll start to feel the pressure coming through as he tries to get aggressive. I don't know if this is the right idea. He does have not even the SMG-11 or the shotgun. He's went towards the SMG, the other SMG, the primary SMG. But the FMG is not going to pick anything up just now. Plenty of grenades getting ready to get thrown out. Stakes is not going to get picked up. Bullets being traded back and forth. But with a minute left, Deviants need to poise themselves towards an execute, and poise they shall. They've got the smoke out and they're trying to see if they can maybe pick people up. They are going to pick up Icy, but Spacey Bobcat picking up a double. But he is going to stop there as we do see that the man count has went in favour of Veggie Patch.
Yeah, and that's a big deal because we saw Deviants pick up that opening frag, and I did say that could have been all they needed, but some excellent work by Spacey Bobcat here is going to be replicated by Stakes as he trades out with Shinigao. AC Kovac, though, picking up that Kaid, and now it's essentially just down to Storm as he doesn't feel confident enough to try and pick up Icy, knowing that someone's so close inside of blue. He does catch a whiff of Kovac by main stairs a few seconds ago, and another, but just doesn't connect with enough bullets. The res is coming through. Now we have an effective 2 versus 2. Kovac, though, has taken his time to get into a plantable position. Plenty of cover, no C4s, no denial between these two operators, at least not at range. These smoke canisters not doing enough. The cross comes through with the visible cover of the smoke canisters, but he still connects with the head. Storm with a refrag onto Shinigao. Now Kovac and Storm in a 1 versus 1. A Mexican standoff at range, holding from close behind this bar. Kovac stands up, does not quite connect with the shots, sends out a frag just to hold the position for a moment, but it's not cooked, so Storm can just wander through. He's getting very close. He lands the shot and he spots the diffuser. Plenty of time to disable it. Fantastic work on the retake by Storm.
Absolute huge clutch there by Storm, being able to pick up his comrades so they could put a bit of pressure in, using the smoke canisters to try and displace players. And then when that, obviously, as Jerry said, the visual cover was out, therefore that meant the sledge kind of put himself in an awkward position. Then pushing through in that 1 versus 1 situation. What a play at the end, but you can't help but feel Spacey Bobcats 2K at the beginning of the round really put Deviants in a precarious situation. Jerry. Are the Deviants about to throw a 5-1 lead on from defense into attack? Could this potentially be what we're about to see? Because, let's be honest here, the Deviants are known for throwing big leads.
It has happened before, you are absolutely correct. And the thing that's making me doubt my prediction now, is that, of course, it's a bit easier on the defense, but there's been a difference in the way that Veggie Patch have been sort of behaving, I'd like to say, in this second half. They've switched it on a bit, certainly, but I feel like after winning those 2 rounds, the first one so convincingly, and that second one with a big clutch, that does wonders for your mental game. Suddenly you've got 2 rounds in a row, you've seen a player on your side do some incredible stuff. You know, Spacey Podcat as well deserves a shout out for the early work he put in from Moto, just holding down that flood of attackers that were coming down maiden stairs and taking a few heads for himself. The belief is there now, I think, for Veggie Patch. They could think to themselves, hey, we've got this. We are going to stage this huge comeback and not drop a single round. They will be thinking that.
I can easily see it happening here, Jerry. Without a doubt, I could see it happening because let's be honest here, with the way that they're playing right now, I mean, why would that not happen? But at the end of the day, though, they need to get through the tertiary site because if they give this one up, then Deviants, they're 1 round away from winning this out. They go on towards that eluded match point, the one that they need so far that they just can't seem to reach. But remember, I mean, Clubhouse is such a weird map because one map compared to the next, one matchup compared to the next matchup could be completely different in the way that it is played, in the way that the rounds go. We really can't call it in this current meta. But what we can call is how this push is going to go. It looks as if there's going to be a jacuzzi breach as well as some small pressure going in towards the cash extension from Veggie Patch. We see Icy is over there, and it is the Jackal of Magpie trying to put the pressure on towards him, or maybe even just covering that CC window is a fairly good idea, as we see plenty of information being gained by Deviants to try and see where all these players are playing, but the Mira window will be the first challenge for these players.
The single hard breach being brought by Deviants may stunt their push somewhat because the cash hold that's coming through from Veggie Patch is virtually untouched, and Shinigao, Max D, puts his 17th kill on the board, finding that opening frag so crucial, taking out Stakes as well, who's not had the best of days, but at least the Jaeger is gone. You don't have to contend with that carbine on the opposite side. The man advantage is there. Make that a 2-man advantage as a lovely nade will claim the life of Harambe. I believe that may have been from beneath by Shinigao. Wonderful stuff. James L. Gray picks that one up. Icy responds with a kill onto Magpie as the guns start to come alive, and this push is flowing here for the attack. They have full control of Jim. Kovac, though, goes down from range. Spacey Bobcat takes him out, and Storm, claiming Max D, puts us in a 2 versus 3. Suddenly, the defenders have turned this on its head, and Veggie Patch could be on their way to a 4th consecutive round, or a 3rd consecutive round, their 4th in total. Icy holding from server. He has an inkling that there's a player out on highway, of course. Those bullets are indicative of that, and now it's up to James L. Gray and Soundowner to find yet another route in. James L. Gray just a little bit disconnected from his teammate, though, still stuck inside a gym, taken out by Spacey Bobcat. This Kaid has been putting in work, constantly holding down these key anchor positions, and now Soundowner's in a 1 versus 3. Trying to climb up main stairs. Storm surely hears him. Doesn't quite get the reticle placement on point, but it doesn't matter. The SMG9 has enough bullets in the mag to finish off the Ash. A lovely defense coming through. A gym defense for Veggie Patch as they complete a perfect circuit. And this really could be the comeback, Cairo.
If this is the comeback, I am absolutely going to be winding people up later on, but I can't wind up anybody just yet. 5-4 for Veggie Patch versus Deviants. And right now, Jerry, you can't help but feel this is starting to slowly get out of control for the Deviants here. They just seem as if they're doing good work, and then next thing you know, everything just falls apart. And do you want to know who it is that when that happens, or do you want to know what the frag it is that happens when it falls apart? It's Shinigao. Every time it's him that's doing most of the work for the Deviants, and everybody else just doesn't seem to be chipping up as much value as what he is. But well, on the second. Kind of the second attempt of every site, at least the Deviants have some sort of information as if there's anything to go by off the attacks, as Veggie Patch like to do things consistently, the same thing all the time.
So the past couple of rounds, we've just seen Deviants fall apart in the mid-round, essentially, and you're right to highlight Shinigao, to highlight Max D, because he has been a real driving force, but it seems as though as soon as he goes down, things start to slowly but surely fall apart for the Deviants. Now, the exception to that rule was this last cash attack that we saw, where quite early on, Soundowner found himself in Lounge, but they hadn't cleared out Adam or Secret or Stock, or it's not Stock, Supply. It's got about 1 million different names. Either way, that area where we saw Harambe pick up the opening frag, and apart from that round, Deviants have always claimed the opening frag, and it's still been a problem for them because their mid-round's been so weak. They need to get an opening frag here. They need to make sure their mid-round is strong, that they don't get turned on, and then they need to execute, because we haven't even got to a point where Deviants have been allowed to execute cleanly with a clear advantage yet. It's always been the case that there's been some hope for Veggie Patch, if not most of the advantage.
Let me ask you a question, Jerry. Can you remember a round where I've actually seen a diffuser go down?
The one round in church. It's literally
yeah.
the disable. Yeah, there hasn't been a successful plant yet. There's only been one plant, and that was disabled. So, yeah, a very frag-focused game so far. Not very objective at all.
Well, we'll wait to see if the objectives are going to be done this round. But Storm, I mean, his objective is to hold down this stock area. But Harambe, he's doing his own objectives. He picks up one, but quickly refragged. He's only going to pick up a Maverick, but we don't know if the Maverick has actually done the work capable on towards that main breach area. They do have a Habana to potentially, I guess, clean up. But, Storm is actually negated and left that angle. That could leave Shinigao to actually push through. But will Storm actually be able to find where these players are? Icy is holding down on towards this rafters area. Shinigao has pushed through, and he's maybe going to use this angle against him, because remember, folks, angles are two-way.
No server breach, though, and that is quite often the decisive factor in these cash rounds. As an attacker, you need it open to stand any real chance. Icy really only has to look below him to keep himself alive. He's not worried about this cross angle at all, because there isn't one. Kovac gets the peak, but not well enough. As both are down, the covering fire is there from Kovac's teammate. Soundanos now trying to make sure that his teammate can be rezzed, as Magpie sitting quite close by. It seems as though Veggie Patch are very passive. Everyone stacked far back in the 3 versus 4, which will allow Kovac to be brought back up, and now they have the man advantage here, Deviants. They've got that opening pick essentially in their favor. They need to keep this mid-round strong, and they need to get that execute going down fairly soon as we approach the 40-second mark.
Yep. Well, it's now very quickly, and is Magpie? I don't know why Magpie's losing HP. I was just wondering there, but
electricity.
Oh, is it? Well,
he's rappelling on the wall.
I was really starting to worry there, but point is, we're on at the 20-second mark now, and we still have one canister that can deny 10 seconds of space. But will that be able to happen? No, it won't, because Storm has been dropped. About 2 great frags coming out. Magpie still trying to watch, but Habana being able to pick up one frag, and it now goes down to one. It's 5 seconds left. Who can pick up the frag? An ace for Sundanos on the end. Puts Deviants through on towards that match point, and you can't help but feel that could really take the wind out of Veggie Patch.
That was a sneaky ace from Soundanos there. I don't think we realised until I know there was surprise in your voice, there was surprise in my eyes as he picked that up. It was like, oh, he actually got every kill. Like, wow, nice one. Really good stuff from the Habana. And Soundanos has been a good presence so far this game, but in the last cash attack, he was the first one to go down. So clearly, it makes a big difference, him on the board. And no cash breach, or no server breach, sorry. Usually that does spell demise for the attackers, but if you can get someone in to pick up all the kills, then that works too, it seems. I'm perplexed, because really, that's the first time that Deviants have won a round that it doesn't seem like they should have. Like, that was completely Veggie Patches. No, even though they had the man disadvantage, it was just such a slow execute from Deviants, and they can't rely on that to close it out. It's going to be a difficult job, I think, for them, regardless of the site now, to continue, because I haven't seen a convincing attack from them yet. That is the first round they've gotten an attack, and it was so close.
Remember, though, we did have kitchen. What am I talking about? Master bedroom, where Veggie Patch really deserved to win that one as well. So, I mean, Deviants just seem to be the thieves in the night right now. But whether they can continue, whether they can actually push on towards this match win, will be a different question altogether. Oh no, it's basically. Oh, that's actually quite. I've never seen that Cade Claw before. Do you know
that? Not that particular one. I have been. I have seen it being hidden in the floorboards, but usually centrally. Yeah. I don't think it works especially well though, and he is going to go for a slightly safer option. Obviously, harder to shoot that out from beneath potentially. Also, a bit more well hidden in terms of just the prop is visibly harder to see. But James Earl Grey hopefully will get the wall open this time round. He was caught off very early on, and that was a challenge. Oh no. Caught in 4K, unfortunate for Kovac. Oh, it gets rid of all the pellets as well. Oh no, that couldn't have gone worse. There's not even a jammer. Wait, what?
Wait, did
Was
the
there
first?
did they just not detonate them?
No. I think the first frag got rid of the mute jammers.
Did it get the mute jammers and the
Pellets.
That's weird. It got everything in one go. That's very strange. Either way, we got our opening frags, and it's a direct trade. Not direct trade, sorry. James Elgore and Storm going down. But you lose your Maverick. Depends whether he got the wall open as to whether that's impactful or not. The Storm going down, though, as a smoke is huge. And it does look like that wall is open. They have the angle. Stakes does find Shinnig out in response to the down onto Icy. But they know that this Wamai is out of action. They're just waiting for the opportunity. Soundless will clear it up, and now we're in 3 versus 3. Oh, what the hell? Push! Why are you pushing? Harambe pushes. He dies. 2 versus 2. Why is it 2 versus 2, Cairo? Spacey Bobcat takes out Sundowner, so now it's all up to Magpie in the 1 versus 2. Stakes very low HP. Spacey Bobcat with a very nice elevated position to try and hold against the breach. He knows that Magpie's coming through. Doesn't quite get the head, doesn't react quickly enough. But Deviant, this is your opportunity to lock it out. 1 versus 2 is still possible for the clutch to come through. Magpie could win it here for his team, but...
What?
I'm still lost for words. Yeah, diffuser, dude. Okay, fine.
What?
Leave it, I guess. Spacey Bobcat's going to claim that kill. That was a crazy round. I don't understand what happened there. But either way, we're at 6-5. This match is mad. This is 6-5. I'm sorry.
This Playday.
I'm going to keep cutting you off.
It's fine.
Cairo, I don't like you. You don't get to cuss.
Okay.
No.
Right, I should just be... Right, anyway, I'm going to finally go for it. Right. These past 2 Playdays, right, have been an absolute fever dream with some of the matches and some of the things that we have seen.
Yeah.
Like, not to be disrespectful, but come on, guys, this is real. We've got better standards than this. But yeah, we are now 6-5, and we are heading to Church and Arsenal, where I believe, if I remember correctly, Veggiepatch have not put a foot wrong. Well, I mean that is true considering the fact that Deviants have only one CCTV, and Cashin Harambe has decided to go for the spawn peak king that is Rook. So potentially that could be questionable for later in the round, but we'll need to see, considering the fact that he does have that 2x scope that can really manipulate those long angles.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure, but with the changes coming to health, I feel as though you may see a fair bit more Rook. Just because it's a bit more of a kind of recognizable impact that he will make. You know, adding health as opposed to, like, adding armor just seems like a much more satisfying way of representing his strength. And I do believe he gets a net buff, essentially, with the change in systems. I think I saw a Rogue9 video on it, which was saying that he's going to be buffed. And yeah, two times scope. He's a chunky boy. He can survive a lot of fights. I think he's going to be played a lot more, so expect to see him more on your screens in the coming season. Especially
your solo queue players. When we all know the absolute blight that they can put on, but with the fact
that is Harambe in a nutshell, anyway, right? Like he started off the game as a Maru.
Yeah, you're not wrong. He somehow misses that drone, and obviously his position is being communicated throughout the team, so they'll know exactly where his position is being played, and I can imagine Shinigami will have some answers, considering the fact he knew he was doing that himself, I mean, a couple rounds ago. But Deviants, really, with 45 seconds already in the round, are still droning, aren't really making ingressions, aren't doing the work they need to do. They need to gain control of Kitchen, not much map control gained either. No breaches in towards Dot. It is starting to get more and more worrying, but we'll need to see if that continues.
Magpie is clearing the map with a Nomad. Very good option because it just allows you to keep track of areas and not have to worry about them. Although that air jab on the bathroom window after you've already cleared strip, a little bit questionable. Either way, it's just security, right? It's something you don't have to think about. You still got one air jab left in pocket. Yeah. It's an odd choice for this map, quite honestly. They know that there's a bit of roam presence from Harambe, but they're just ignoring it for the time being. Frad goes out to try and clear the electric claw, and it is successful. Rather nice use of that frag grenade from Shinigao, and now we've got the X-Kairos pellets being successful as well. Icy can't send out his C4 quickly enough to deny it, but Harambe will strike from beneath, taking out Kovac for the first kill of the round. Losing your Yana, not great when it comes to this execute.
I mean, to be honest, in this matchup, I am not going to even try and attempt to analyse what's going on or even try and call anything, because everything has been going against the tide. But so far, I mean, Veggiepatch, they're looking to go towards overtime here. And again, this still leaves Deviants in a precarious situation when it comes to that matchup against Triton, depending on how many points they can pick up. But we're not talking about leaderboards just yet, as we see Shinigao pre-firing in towards that punch hole, but everything is slowing down, everything is getting worrying. There's 25 seconds left, we need to get in and execute down soon, and with the diffuser still cold, you can't help but feel that Deviants are potentially going to lose this one.
I feel really stupid for predicting a 7-1 at this point. 5 versus 3, Deviants need to do something quite magical here as the timer hits the red. Full flash onto Spacey Bobcat may give them the opening as we see the swing come through from the Hibana, but the cross is there. Harambe takes one down instead, doesn't need the assistance of the Jaeger. It's an absolute flurry of kills. There's no way that he wins this, and it will actually come down to that final kill. Icy claiming the life of the final attacker, and we push ourselves to overtime, Gyro.
Well, to kind of give you an insight as to what the standings mean now when we go towards the weekend is, well, if the Deviants do manage to gain 2 points, then if Triton can beat Deviants, they can actually still put them down in towards that relegation position, depending on Atlas.
Okay, sorry. Because
yeah.
Veggiepatch have opted to go on attack first for overtime. Why? What? They could have chosen defense.
Well, but the see, the thing is, so maybe they're thinking to themselves, current meta, etc., that they thought attackers would be more dominant. Question mark.
I mean, it's maybe that's the only reasoning I can think of. But I mean, clearly this has been a defend-decided map, and if they went in with no bans.
Yeah.
So like, maybe strategy isn't even a thought process for them at this moment, or at least it wasn't prior to coming and pushing to overtime, and now they're thinking, maybe that was a bit of a mistake, but we don't know. Maybe if they try on attack, they'll actually claim something. We only saw them get one single attack round in that first half, and that was on Church. There is a possibility that they, lose this first attack, and then we see a final Church defense from Deviants. So there's still hope, certainly, but those weren't convincing Church attacks. I'll remind you, they were entirely dirt tunnel focused. One rush worked, another one didn't. And they've got to pull out something a bit more convincing than that on either of these attacks that they are going to be faced with, most likely, if they want to win this overtime.
Right, well, we need to see who's going to win this one out, as we do see. Well, Veggiepatch are actually going to go for a normal strategy here and open up this main breach with Harambe on the repel, watching in towards site. Playday is going to... Oh no, he doesn't even have a Claymore, so that's not going to be an option. I thought he was going to go and put this Claymore down. No one has done that, so the run out is viable if the Deviants do decide to go for that. But I believe focus is put towards garage area to get rid of rafters. We've already spoke about it previously, Jerry. We don't need to reiterate how important a position that can be. AZ Kovac has been quite rampant in picking up frags here. Sundanos nearly getting caught out. Well, I can easily see this being a bloodbath very shortly, depending on how this is played. And, well, starting off, Shinigao.
There we go. Take out the Maverick. The job done somewhat, but those frags not potentially leveraged, unfortunately, for the attack. Yes, you can see they had 4 in pocket, or 2 in pocket, and now Stakes carrying the only remaining 2. Is he aware of the presence of Soundownos behind him? That camera being shot out, perhaps being alerted to the presence of this Valkyrie with the pop of that window. And now, yes, you can see he's skirting around, very aware, making sure he doesn't get shot. Does step into the range of Soundownos, but he just whiffs the shots at that moment. Storm does find the frag onto Shinigao, though, as we find ourselves an even man count. Stakes and Harambe applying pressure from beneath onto this Magpie, Kovac, but he is sitting there with Magpies next to him. Harambe lands the headshot under very little pressure. Oh, James Earl Grey just stepping a little bit astray as he lands the C4, but is refragged. Storm finds Magpie. Soundownos now the only one alive as he takes out Stakes, who is attempting to climb those stairs, but Harambe and Storm now know that Soundownos is on the bottom floor and can go for a very safe plant attempt. He does have C4, but the coverage is there from the top of red stairs, and then no C4 to the default plant slot. He's just guessing at this point. Oh, maybe not, as the intel is there. He finds Storm from beneath, and now it's a 1 versus 1. Harambe does have the cover, though, and Veggie Patch push themselves to overtime match point with a crucial attacking win.
Deviants are almost in the dirt. They are almost out before the playoffs have even begun here, Jerry. This could be huge. I mean, they could really be stumping themselves come the weekend. They could really be struggling here, especially how these players have been playing. I mean, they did so well on defense, and then they throw it all. This is worrying. This is really worrying, as we do see Deviants do go on to the attack, and they're going to be attacking CCTV and Cash. This is the one site that they did win out previously. So whether they can do that again, considering the fact it was a Soundanos ace, is another question entirely.
You know, I feel as though I've been mean to you today, Cairo. I've been cutting across you, confusing you, interrupting your points, just being the worst caster, essentially. And I've also been very mean to Veggie Patch. I think at every turn, they have defied my very low expectations of them. And that's on me. Like, it's also on the Deviants, though. Deviants have let this happen to an extent. Veggie Patch have done an incredible job turning around. Look at the kill counts on their side. Spacey Bobcat, 11. Harambe, 13. Storm, 14. Across the board, they've been putting up frags. Stakes and Icy playing the effectively support role here, but you can't blame them. Really, it's been Shinigao, and then lately Soundownos has been turning around and putting in the odd round. He did get that round with a single ace, so that does skew his stats slightly. It's only really been Max D who's been the consistent force for Deviants, and Veggie Patch as a whole have woken up. They've been driving it home, and now they're on overtime match point with a Cash defense to sit back on. Like, this could be it.
This really could be it, but whether it is a different question again, because, well, I don't know. I just feel as if there's so many minuscule mistakes that lead to just everything going wrong, like potentially taking gunfights when you're not ready, checking your back, like that. I just don't understand it. I don't understand how so many things can go wrong, especially when you leave Magpie with no help to get the breach open, and leaving Harambe to get aggressive and him missing his shots. That could be potentially the thing that really cost them at the end of the round here.
Paying a bit too much respect in the peak, if anything. I mean, disrespectful to go for it in the first place, but maybe expecting James Earl Grey to return fire, and it is instead his opposite number, the real Earl Grey, who will die. Shinigao does have his own ping onto the player at top of rafters. He's confident in his gun skill, but Icy is just better. Kovac takes him down in response, but Sakes gets the refrag onto Kovac from beneath. They're playing this bottom floor very nicely, and they've re-established that 3 versus 3. Veggie Patch, they have it in their hands here. James Earl Grey and Soundownos stationed outside of rafters, just making sure that they can take that ground safely, as Magpie is maybe getting a little bit too aggressive on the breach. He's just holding them at bay, but Soundownos strikes onto Spacey Bobcat. No more Kaid, and you've got the mute. Sorry, you've got the smoke with 3 canisters in pocket. Does have time to delay, but with 1 minute 15, he can't burn it all. Stakes holding this angle against the Maverick. Just a peek. Oh, it's going to happen sometime soon, Cairo.
Well, we need to get the diffuser down soon, but Magpie, I believe, is that him stuck out on towards the main breach? I believe it is. The Thermite might need to actually cross through. Yeah, they have opened it, but they need to cross through into Stakes' line of fire. Can he flick on? No, he can't. The diffuser does get down, and the 7-second timer has begun. Trying to initiate the 45-second timer, but it's not even going to get initiated. James Earl Grey finishes out the round for the Deviants, and we moved through onto a 1-round shootout, Jerry.
Overtime match point, and we've gone from a very defensively sided clubhouse to a very attacker sided overtime. that just doesn't happen very often. And now it means that it's virtually impossible to predict how the rest of this will go. We are going to have to be delayed in our in our quest to find out who will win this, because there is a bit of a problem on the end of Deviants. They have that mute bug, unfortunately, so they're going to take this pause just to make sure that they can reset and get themselves in, because this is a very important round that we're about to be faced with. 1 point decided in the standings by a single round, and it could go to either team.
Yeah, it really could go to either team here, Jerry, and this is the thing. When we sit here and we look at it, when we go back to Church and Arsenal, I mean, the Deviants did put up a good fight here, but it was the Veggie Patch rush that really caught them off guard, and that's where they started to creep into the match, you could say. So with that being said, I mean, obviously Deviants have actually been good at adjusting themselves to what they've been seeing in front of them and adjusting the mistakes they've been making, but it's continual mistakes being made when it comes to this matchup that's really hindering both teams. So with that being said, I still don't know how to call this one.
No, neither do I. My face is not in sync with my body in the slightest. So yeah, I was just going to make the point that so far this season, we've had. Sorry, not so far this season. The crucial point totals right now that Veggie Patch are sitting on 13, essentially, with the 1 point that they've guaranteed themselves by pushing to overtime. That puts them level with Combat Wombats and 9. That's not necessarily worth reading into just yet, because 9 are yet to play, and Veggie Patch could essentially put themselves on 14 points for total, which would be really something. And in fact, I believe they beat Imperium of Mandam technically with a forfeit win, so that would put them in second place if they get this win here, this final round, albeit maybe temporarily, because 9 could gather some points and overtake them in that final match of the day. But that's huge for Veggie Patch. Deviants as well, if they manage to get 2 points out of this, they draw level with Frogs, and that virtually secures them their playoff spot, I believe, because they did win, or they are yet to play Triton. Are they? Deviants? Deviants play Triton next week. So unless they outright lose next week to Triton, then a win here would secure them playoffs. Yeah,
without a doubt. I think that just really leaves them in a really bad position, obviously. Leaving themselves to Triton. I called Triton this misfiring cannon earlier on in the matchup, as you do mime everything that I am saying right now.
I'm back.
No, yeah, sorry. So the point I was going to make was the fact that Triton are still this misfiring cannon, and we can't really look past the quality that they have and the kind of in the locker, but it just hasn't been coming out to show. So again, I still feel like Deviants are really leaving themselves open to potentially some damage at the end of this week. But this is all if, buts, and maybes. Veggie Patch, though, have essentially secured the playoffs now with obviously that 1 point. So that's very well done to them. Congratulations. We do have at least, I think that's 4 teams confirmed in playoffs.
It must be, because Team 9 are the only ones yet to play out of the new top 4. So if Veggie Patch have secured it, then everyone else above them has. So that's Ludens, Mandem, and Combat Wombats have secured at least playoffs. And then, of course, there's still, top 4 or bottom 4 to be decided, because those playoff seeds are important. So, every place counts as well, because if you finish first, then you're playing the 4th place side. So you really want that. That statistically should give you a better matchup. Every place counts. Every single game and point counts, and that's why this round is super important, because it's worth a whole point in the standings effectively, which is really, really huge. And it's just something I love about the new system with 3-2-1-0. Makes it really, really interesting, round by round, game by game.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I always felt as if getting to overtime, especially if you just imagine in this matchup, right? You got punished for getting to overtime and not winning. That would just be heartbreaking for Veggie Patch. That could essentially really leave them again open to potentially dropping out, especially where the standings are, because you have to get by. I think the threshold just now is 13 points. That confirms your spot. So as we head back to the game, we'll don't need to talk about thresholds anymore. We can actually talk about what this matchup does have in store. We don't have any operators that were locked in, so that's the good thing for both teams. They can pick exactly who they want to pick,
Yeah, the
especially
reveal phase hadn't happened, right? So
yeah.
it is literally anything. They could, in fact, have had this time and decided, hey, we want to go to a different site, and that's perfectly legal. They're allowed to do that. So, yeah, I'm excited for this. There's just in case you were wondering why that was a slightly longer break, we had a full rehost had to take place because some players disconnected completely, unfortunately, in that time. But everything's set up. We've got ourselves this 1-round standoff, and it is worth a point, like we have said, absolutely crucial. And in this do-or-die situation, Harambe has decided to 6th pick to the Amaru for a basement attack. Okay.
Maybe faster room to question mark?
Maybe. Harambe saying he's peaked. I don't know whether he means peaked with an A or not. Unfortunately, I didn't catch a look at the exact stats before we went for the rehost. Besides, like, I think we went through a couple of kills and people, the round beforehand, and it looks as though Max D was basically on for 20 at least. But Harambe, Storm, and Spacey Bobcat all were performing admirably as well on the opposite side of things. So, yeah, we'll get those stats after the game, and we'll get to see. Our observer has just posted the entire scoreboard for us. Very, very admirably. I love you, Dan. Dan's the man. Dan is the man. Anyway. So yeah, we got the full stats here, and we'll sort of do a bit of maths after this round to make sure we know who has done exactly what. Harambe is zipping on into those main stairs immediately, trying to clear himself. He's just going ham right now. He wants his own from done with. Stakes on the other side of things. Has found himself up against Magpie, but in fact, Icy is the one to claim his life. The Jaeger already going down. This is a very swift approach by Veggie Patch as we see Harambe storming his way into Moto. Stakes takes out a teammate and James L. Gray as Shinigao will win that duel inside of Moto when you're in 3 versus 3. Stakes just flicking onto the tracers that are coming in his direction, but Kovac is in between a rock and a hard place. He's got someone pushing right behind him, decides to dart back towards the bomb shack. He does find the head of Spacey Bobcat, but Storm will refrag. Storm with a second on the sound down, so now it's all up to Shinigao. Max D has to come up big here in the 1 versus 2. He was on about 20 kills or so before the rehost. Can he push that tally ever higher as the plant will go down successfully? Stakes and Storm and Shinigao, the 3 S's squared off against each other. They will for sure need to be squaring up their sights for this one. 30 seconds now left, and Shinigao will take his time. C4 goes out towards the rotate. It's not close enough to deal any damage. Storm with the peak will secure the win for Veggie Patch. What a comeback that was. 5-1 down, and they win it out in overtime. 8-7.
The boys will be absolutely buzzing with that one, being able to win that back from 5-1, but my god, Deviants, you have absolutely scored an own goal here. You have left yourself open to potential relegation. You have thrown a 5-1 lead, Jerry, and at the end of the day, we can't help but feel harsh, because what the hell was that matchup?
It was crazy, and a big shout out to Storm as well. He had a massive hand in the way that went at the very end. 3 kills in the final round with the plant going down, and he had 14 before the rehost as well. That's a total of 17. Big hats off as well to Spacey Bobcat, who grabbed a couple in the final round as well. He ends on about 13, Harambe 14, I think. It was a really strong showing from these incredible gunners that we have always touted on Veggie Patch as being incredibly talented, but they pulled it together to stage probably the most dramatic comeback that we've seen so far this season in Bull. That was quite a match.
Well, that's not the only match we have today. We do have, I guess, the top 2 playoff almost between IOM and 9 potentially, depending on what happens in this next match. I think with a win, either team can secure the top 4 place here, Jerry. So with that being the case, we need to get those players prepared. We need to get prepared because it's going to be hopefully a better matchup than what we just saw. So don't go too far, and get a couple of snacks while you're at it.
Since you left me here, so come home. Why won't you reappear? Things that I said came out totally wrong. stone cold. You got me stone cold. You got me stone cold. You got me stone cold. Got me stone cold. No Wizard of Oz can undo what I've done. Completely out of luck this time. I'm stuck in reverse. I gotta get away now, but I can't seem to take the lead. Oh baby, how could I know there was no second chances? Like dominoes, my life got really scattered. Still, I find myself hoping that you'll find your way back to me. 'Cause I've been stone cold since you left me here. So come home, why won't you reappear? Things that I said came out totally wrong. Can't speak of the truth when it's tainted. I fell into a big black hole. It got me stone cold. You got me stone cold. You got me stone cold. You got me stone cold.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to my face being out of sync. It's a tale as old as time. It's
I think
beautiful,
I'm out
isn't
of
it?
sync.
Oh wow, Kairo's joined me as a time traveler. This is
Yeah.
impressive. This never happens. I have a friend finally in the time traveling club. The key to fixing it is to reconnect via vMix, Cairo. So while you do that, I will talk out of sync and say that we have one more match for you tonight. We've got Imperium of Mandem versus 9. Team 9 are a team that have basically done very well early on and sort of dropped off a bit, but they are currently sitting in that 4th place after a recent uptick, and Imperium of Mandem 2nd place, in fact. So that may well have just changed slightly. I think Veggie have just surpassed Team 9 in points, potentially. But either way, this is a near the top of the table scrap, and either team after this game could end at the very tippity top. So they could be securing their place, not just... I think they've secured their place in playoffs already, but they could, I believe, and this is the live maths thing going on again, which I vowed never to do, Ludens, at the very least, Imperium of Mandem at the very least could secure their spot in the top 4 with this game.
Yeah, I think the threshold mark is 16 points, if I remember correctly, because that puts you 1 point out of... Yeah, it is, because it puts you 1 point out of all the teams that are 5th to 8th, because 12 points is the highest in that bracket. So, yeah, you could secure the top 4 spot. And, I mean, realistically, then it's only seeding that you're really worrying about. So, with that being said, I mean, Mandem, if they even get an OT win, they'll be really happy with that.
Yeah, but obviously they'll be playing for all the points here.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, like we said, points mean prizes. Points mean prizes, and that's all you need to know. They want wins because wins are good. Ladies and gents, that's all you need to know. So, I have a question for you, Cairo, and it is, where do you think we're going to be ending up here today between Veggie Patch and... No, sorry, why is I saying Veggie Patch? They just played Team 9 and Imperium of Mandem.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know that Team 9 have played a couple of cafe games. Obviously, it's not been played that much. Obviously, Oregon and Consulate both being autobanned will certainly hinder that. So the only other one I could realistically think of would be either a Villa or a Clubhouse, because when you're going into this like kind of playoff confirmation stage, you realistically don't want to be given too much away. So you want to go to familiar ground. It makes sense to get rid of Coastline. I believe that's Team 9 banning Cafe, so that'll be good for them. Which leaves us with what? Villa, Shelley, and, well, there we go, Clubhouse.
Cool. So, it's the second club. There we go. That makes perfect sense. Like you said,
Yeah.
hiding as much as you can, really, especially before the best of threes come into effect.
Yeah.
I mean, we did just see Veggie Patch go in on Clubhouse with 2 no bans and a win in overtime. So
Yeah.
they've hidden a fair amount. They weren't necessarily playing their full strats either with that game. It certainly didn't look like it from time to time. So
Yeah.
if you can play no strats and get away with a win, then that's a valid thing to be doing at this point in the season. As we do go into our ban phase straight away on Clubhouse, another one for us because we are so lucky here at Bool. And Thatcher going to be banned straight away. Are we going to see 2 no bans? I don't think 9 are quite the same as Veggie Patch. I'd be very surprised to see that here.
Yeah, I mean, Nine will be wanting to secure that top 4 playoff spots because, I mean, that's less games and a second life that you need to play. And Monty being banned is interesting because, again, as I believe it was IOM versus Triton, they do like to play that Monty to pressure in towards Rafters. So good decisions from them. But the defensive bans will be interesting. I can imagine a Valkyrie will get banned out here, but Cade as well is fairly standard.
Yeah, the Cage is certainly a powerful operator. We saw the strength of him on that last Clubhouse that we just saw. Those walls stayed shut. A lot of walls, a lot of hatches that are usually very key in terms of getting in and causing pressure and emptying out key anchor positions were left shut, and we saw that culminate in a very defender-sided map. Even though it was ultimately the attackers that won all 3 rounds in the overtime, funnily enough. But this is a new map, this is a new set of teams, and we can expect that it's a completely different set of rules, especially with the Melusi being that final ban. An odd one at this point, with her strength dwindling after the nerf a few months ago, and leaving operators like Mirror and Valkyrie in play.
Yeah, Valkyrie can really give away some, crazy information on the round. When you think about it here, Jerry, she is the queen of information. 3 extra black eyes being placed in horrible positions, and then you have to concede more utility to bring that IQ. It can really hurt you. But at this point in time, it is only 9 that have to deal with this situation. And we didn't really get to talk much about the rosters here. We just kind of talked about the generalities of the matchup. But when you look here at the 2 teams, who are the players that you're going to pick out straight away?
Well, certainly Reich is a standout name. He's been, he's had that Newell experience, that Yukin 2 experience. Inoob as well has shown up in past games. Aztec, also a name I'm fairly familiar with. I do remember last week though, James had an absolutely wild one on the side of Team 9, and I feel guilty now because Malu's the only name that I haven't mentioned. But yeah, everyone on 9 is capable and recognisable. IOM, I'm certainly looking towards DJ. I'm looking towards Deathly. Deathly quite often is one of those players, especially on the defense, who will find himself in a slightly more extended position, holding key players' positions. Maybe like Rafters, I'm surprised not to see him as a player here, but DJ7 on the Wamai is the perfect option, utility-wise. So, yeah, definitely one I'd keep an eye out for. But there are so many players here. Yukio, Scipio, everyone here really on the side of IOM has had their moment in the sun at different points. And, we could see a game like last where there's one player, like it was Max D, who pops off, or we could see a team victory, as it was for Veggie Pats.
Well, we don't really need to digest and kind of talk about the strategy or what we're going to expect on this one, because, we've already talked about it for nearly, in fact, I say nearly, it was 15 rounds of regulation and overtime. So with that being said here, Jerry, what do we break down? Do we just talk about how our days are going? How's your day going?
My day's going quite well. I had a band rehearsal, played a lot of music with some friends, which I haven't done in ages. It was really, really exciting. But as much as I would like to talk about my day, I don't think it does justice to the viewers who are here to watch this game. And Inoob has gone down early on. Losing your Hibana quite early is pretty crucial. It certainly limits your options in terms of the fact that this wall in construction is most likely not going to get opened at all. You may get the opportunity to spend a bit of blowtorch magic on that and open up a line of sight, but mostly any player inside of Clash is going to be very well fortified. They can fight towards the default plant spot, they can fight towards the breach and contest these angles. And DJ7 and Scipio still present inside of Garage with only just over a minute remaining. Does not spell much success potential for Team 9. They are that man down as well. Construction control still in the hands of IOM. This is just slow from 9. They need to find a pick soon.
Well, I mean, the only thing that I can really see that they have done is actually open up the breach, the main breach. But, I mean, right, he's done a bit of work. He is taking out Yukio. He's not even going to get into this round so far, holding down that master position, getting taken off guard by the Vault. And can't help but feel that's a bit of a, again, an own goal, because let's be honest, that gunfight was in favour of Yukio. Scipio holding a great long angle in towards Garage, lets the sledge go in. That could potentially be hurtful as James pushes up and starts to get aggressive here on towards the Valkyrie. That MPX will be looking to maybe pick up a frag pretty soon as Mali has gained control of Rafter's position. Looks as if James very close, pushes forward. That L85 loses the battle as a load of frags do come out in favour of IOM. The C4 coming out, but it's Beng that wins it for IOM.
Nice one by Benji there, and I think that honestly, I nailed it. That was just too slow. They barely set foot in the building before the 40-second mark. We saw Reich hop in to get an opening frag, well, respond to the opening frag at least with one of his own into construction, but then he left immediately afterwards. Yeah. And the garage control was, being contested at around the 30-second mark. That's just too slow. There's no two ways about it from T9. They need to up the pace. They need to get these key positions a little bit earlier on. And I think part of that is to do with taking out the sort of buffer rooms. We saw zero pressure towards lounge or stock, and that would have really emptied out, the player that was down low inside of garage. It would have meant that players inside of cash can't sit comfortably because of the threat of a frag from beneath. And those are the kind of things you need to do before you start pressuring garage and before you start trying to take fights into server itself, because otherwise you're just gonna be faced with defenders that know exactly what to look at. And that was exactly what happened to IOM. They were sitting pretty. They maybe lost a couple of fights that they shouldn't have, but either way they only needed to look in one direction.
Well, on this bottom floor site, I mean, it's not very much, this bottom floor site isn't very much like Oregon where you can kind of just sit and turtle and just sit and wait for people to come to you. It's very much a go and be proactive on the roam, as we see Scipio is the man who's going to be able to do that. We saw in the last matchup as well here, Jerry, when we saw, I believe it was Max D and Sondano starting to pop off in the first round. That didn't continue, but, well, we'll need to see what will happen here. As Scipio is going to take up position in towards the main staircase area, and if anything to go off of last match, this is a really key position and places where people can really find a lot of frags and a lot of action as well.
Yeah, my eye is on T9 and how they decide to approach this. It looks as though Reich is the only one with a mind towards clearing the top floor, and he may want some support just to speed that process up somewhat. Inoob is pushing himself in towards kitchen. I'm struggling to see where the drones are at this point, and that's a problem for Team 9. They should be having, a couple of things on drones, not just droning in themselves, but making sure that other players can get in. And look, here it starts to come. Maybe a little bit, behind schedule, but they are at least making sure that kitchen is clear with a lot of drones. Now that's over droning, if anything. So I criticised them 30 seconds ago for not droning enough, and now we see 3 drones droning out the same room. This is inefficiency, right? Reich and Co, they need to be coordinating a little bit at a higher level, and at the moment they're getting this kitchen hatch open. Looks like it is successful. James has forced his way into dirt tunnel, which has been forgone by IOM, but they're fighting back through the holes, and that is a lovely little shot. I don't even know if he had intel on that. There wasn't a bullet hole. He just prone peeked it, and then the spray came back. That's nutty.
DJ7 is on cams though. If we see it, he's flicking between a Valkyrie camera, etc.
Yeah.
He's saying it's a pre-fire, but I mean, maybe there's a Valkyrie coming. I don't know. We'll try and find. We'll maybe get confirmation later in the chat as some players are helpful in doing so. But there is one player still there trying to keep pressure, maybe trying to go for this execute. I mean, thing is though, both rounds IOM have picked up the initial frag, which is fair enough to them. That puts them in a very good position. I believe this the region of impact frag, or getting the first frag is like something like 60%, but. I mean, when you get right, that doesn't really matter. As 2 frags do go in favour of Team 9.
Nice work by him. With 35 seconds left on the clock, they have time to execute. The kitchen hatch is open and they have armory control. The drop should be on the cards, but there is a potential angle being held from Church. We can see the elevated position inside of Moto. One player inside of Blue, but Reich will take his head off. Now Inoob setting down the diffuser in an off location. Scipio will find Aztec, but that's not going to deny the plant, and we're left in a 2 versus 3 post plant. DJ7 does find Malu, but you hear him being caught out by the air jab. No capitalization though from the team of 9, and he will take off Reich's head as well, leaving Inoob in the 1 versus 2 to try and hold this diffuser. He expects the rotate. Great crosshair placement there to find DJ7, and Scipio now left above. A very difficult situation, to be honest with you, as Inoob has plenty of cover. He will hear the drop, but doesn't respond quickly enough. The peak comes through. No shouts landed. Switches to the bearing 9. Can't quite find the damage. Deagle comes out, and Scipio will land the shots. With 12 seconds left, that is enough to defuse. The retake works for IOM. They seal their 2nd round in a row.
2nd round in a row, and you can't help but feel that the team of 9 will certainly, well, they'll be feeling a little bit hurt after that one, Jerry, because, I mean, it was all theirs. They did so much work, right? Really carrying them through that, being able to pick up so many frags, and then, well, IOM, they pick it up. I'm going to try and ignore it. We're moving through in the gym bedroom, but my God.
It's jab season. It's good. It's good news, really, in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, it's James has his own handicap to deal with. Just the mental game not quite there apparently. You know, completely stuck still. He is a statue. That was a great round, back and forth, so much happening, and the tide was changing constantly. There were some real amazing showings from individuals in that round. First off, Reich. Such a nice entry from Dirt to get the frag grenade onto the Legion, who went sailing through the air majestically, I might add. And then we had the pick onto... I can't remember who it was, but either way, a 2nd pick coming through with the gun skill of the G36C working for him. And then DJ7's turn to suddenly strike back. A lovely attempt at the retake, getting a couple of kills in response to the plant, and then Scipio wins the 1 versus 1 with some very nice positioning play. Quite lucky to get away with the few peaks that were dealt against him, and you gotta feel sorry for Inoob, I believe it was, as the Habana in that 1 versus 1. He did everything right but land the shots. That was the only thing that was missing. So a hard pill to swallow for Team 9. But they'll be looking for some medicine in this round, as they are heading up to cash, and they need to right themselves. Maybe a spoonful of sugar, something sweet to push themselves forward will be the answer. And that's a sweet pick early on for Reich.
Well, the thing is though, Jerry, if there's anything to go off of when it comes to Bueller's, nothing is concrete, even if you are 5-1 up after going on your defensive half. So, well, I mean, James, you alright, mate? Can you get that softball destroyed? Hopefully he can, because Aztec is waiting to do the Mavs trick and get that wall open. I mean, he's really struggling there, isn't it?
This is taking much longer than it should, right?
Yeah, this is really well. Let's not talk about it. Let's not try to embarrass my man any longer. But
yeah,
he is doing a lot of work here. Obviously, in preparation for this wall to get dropped, but Aztec will be feeling a bit, I guess, tentative when this wall does drop, because he's right in the firing line of anybody that wants to spray any bullets from these defenders. So far, it looks as if IOM's setup, I mean, it's fairly standard. There's nothing really, I would say, that's out of the ordinary that we really need to kind of pick up on here, but I guess they're just waiting for the push to come through. I mean, I guess they should. They're not getting aggressive. They're not trying to pick anybody up, but right, he's looking to pick up another.
another nade kill from the man himself as well. Second kill on the round and second successive nade kill. A third in the match and a third on this round. 2 nades land their mark perfectly. Not enough denial in place despite the Aruni, despite the Jaeger on board. Not enough to protect their fellow teammates. 2 versus 5 now. Ainoob is in a plantable position. The spray comes through from James to take out DJ7. This could be a flawless round coming through from Team 9 as they finally pick up their first. Reich with a 4K. Quite stunning work from this window.
Well, I mean, window gaming sometimes works. I mean, it's really taboo when it comes to Siege, but sometimes window and roof gaming, you just see people pop off. But well, here we move back to CCTV and Cash, where IOM were pretty much successful in the last outing here, Jerry. So I don't know. There's nothing really I would say that we'd really need to sink our teeth into that I would say is, I mean, we really need to pick up on in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, there's a few misplays, etc. But I mean, when it comes down to it, it's really coming down to gunfights. I would say they're pretty much all doing good things. Maybe a few missteps, like for instance, inefficiently drawing a room or not being quick enough on executions. But from the grand scheme of things, I would say they're pretty much doing good things in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's reflected in the round count, right? Round counts. Apologies, 2-1 at this point. When you've seen 2 successful, primary, secondary sites, and then a gym attack win, it's for par. It's what we expect. And IOM, if they continue in this vein, they can expect a 4-2 split. They'll want more, of course. And, their cash defense last time was adequate. It was everything it needed to be in the face of a rather lackluster Team 9 attack. So really the onus is on 9 to maybe carry some momentum that they found in that last round. I'm losing all my words today. Reich in particular, having a nice one in that last one. So the absence of a Jaeger this round is a bit worrying, considering he's got those nades in hand. James and Aztec also have those, but that's 2 sets of them gone as Yukio lands a pre-fire, a bit of a, spawn peek onto the sledge. James out for the count.
Well, the good thing is Yukio's finally got a frag in this matchup here. He's decided to help his team out, but I mean, I imagine he'd be helping him out anyway with plenty of comms and good hard support. Or soft support, depending on whatever role he has picked up. But right, taking a bit of damage there. I believe that was maybe a pre-fire from Scipio, as he's lost a chunk of his health. The diffuser cold as well. So again, I mean, 9 will need to pick that up later in the round, but maybe they're just keeping it in a safe position here, depending on where they want to go for this push. But Scipio maybe could be meeting Ainoob here, but he's decided not to go for it. Jerry, this maybe could be key later in the round.
I'd have just sat outside there, actually. I did think the same, but there's no way that he's in shot, unfortunately, for Scipio. Although that is a factor that Team 9 will have to contend with. This wide roam from Scipio can cause problems. If he peeks from this billiards window at a good enough moment, Ainoob can't really cross. This is cutting the Hibana out of the equation for the mid-round, which is quite funny. Reich trying to do his due diligence, hopping on that drone to help locate the Valkyrie, but there we go. The spray coming towards Ainoob, but he is not detected as Scipio. He's holding a slightly more passive angle. Does spot the movement this time around of the Hibana. He's watching this entryway. Does have to try and slice these bullets through some, props outside that are very difficult to land through. And Ainoob going in prone is actually going to protect him from that angle. So we see a bit of damage dealt onto Reich, who's pushing with his teammates. But again, these nades are just perfect from the Newell man.
Yeah, they really are just finding their mark here wherever he decides to push it. It's almost like artillery here for the side of Team 9 because they are doing that much work. But will IOM say no to Team 9 as Ainoob puts a great shot through Deathly's skull and it is putting it down to a 4 versus 3. So, Jerry, with that being said, advantage in favour of these attackers. Scipio does have a C4 for default denial, but it's whether they actually go for a plant on default. The diffuser finally being picked up by Mali as they decide to actually push up. Red presence is there. We do see the Legion spraying plenty of bullets there. Ainoob taking some damage, but the thing is though, with that C4 getting ripped up and flung, we heard it below. will it do the work? The only work being done here is from Nade. 15 seconds left. They need to get the diffuser down soon. Scipio still got a C4 in pocket. The diffuser has begun. 7 seconds left. But no! Team 9 close out the last remaining players and win this round out.
Fantastic stuff, especially from Reich there with the nade work, and also making sure to hold Lounge, because he saw that the few remaining operators on the defense, they had C4s in pocket. You had the Mute, you had the Valkyrie at a certain point before that execute, both with C4s and intel on that server take. I do believe a Valkyrie cam was taken out prior to the execute, which was important for 9. 6-pick will be coming through from Yukio because Thunderbird is, of course, in quarantine for the time being. And yeah, that was so much cleaner from Team 9. That first cash attack that we saw at the very start of the game was absolutely lackluster. We expect better from them, and that is what they've shown us. They've carried that momentum forward. This is what I wanted, and now we're tied up, and they have every possibility of putting themselves in a very advantageous position going into the split, because they have 2 rounds to pick up, you know, a 3 or a 4 on their attacking half. That could be massive.
Yeah, it really is in favour of Team 9 right now. We are kind of returning to normal metas. Returning to normality, I'd say, just in general of play, considering how last matchup went. So, I mean, it's good things to see. It really, the frustrating thing I would say as casters is, I mean, we don't really get much to talk about because we've already talked about it in the last matchup, and on top of that, like, the analysis that we're doing is just really picking apart the small details, and at the same time though, that's things that you like to see here, Jerry, because you do like to see good Siege being played out.
Yeah, it's to do with the map as well, right? Like, we've seen the map already, but also because it's Clubhouse, it's very well tested, it's very well played out, and it honestly at this point looks as though it's just a kind of a proving ground and an opportunity for certain players to really show their caliber. And right now it's Reich. He's 10-2 after 4 rounds. Last game it was Max D, and then plenty of other players caught up, and Veggie Patch as a whole really showed their strength. But Reich is dominating this server. The man is on an absolute tear. We can see him taking a gunfight right now as those bullets come out, but doesn't quite find anything for it. He's trying to clear the top floor by himself, it would seem. And, you know, usually I would criticize him for it, but he's calling for a bit of assistance, it seems. Manu is sending out those drones. Aztec holding the angle up towards the main stairs to try and cut off anyone that is retreating. But it does look as though they've at least scared away these roamers. And now we've got ourselves, I believe, a full turtle here coming through from IOM. We may not get full confirmation on that just yet, but it looks as though that's the case. The way that 9 are operating does seem as though they're ignoring it. Yeah, there you go. 5 on the bottom.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this isn't a bad decision. The only thing that I would say about this is it's going to leave it very tentative when it comes to the plant coming through. But with not a lot of denial as well, that's when things will get worrying. But, well, the denial is going to get even worse as Deathly has been put in towards the dot. That denial would be the P10 Roni. It's no longer available on the floor, nice and cold for anybody. Well, I mean, you can't pick it up, but you get the gist. Looks as if Team 9 are starting to do their work here when it comes to soft destruction as well. So far, so good. The only thing that I will say, though, is no Scipio on site anymore. He's starting to make his first ingression in towards actually contesting these attackers, but they do have information on his position. There was a ping, and that's the first bit of damage going to be done there. Scipio on very low HP, continuing to contest, but deciding to return to site, and has been put... Oh no, it's Reich, sorry, I thought that was one of the defenders there. Reich being put into the dirt will help these defenders as 40 seconds remaining.
Very smart play in that mid-round by Scipio to apply pressure. DJ7 capitalizing on it with a kill onto Aztec, but he is refragged by Onub, pushing through dirt. Yukio takes out one by main and still has control of this position. This is key, especially with these crouch level holes. He can spray in towards the bomb position. Reich with another on the round, and almost a third as Yukio caught fleeing, but the diffuser will be successful. Takes out an air jab, but both players above, and a second air jab will reveal their location. Now the tables have turned. 2 above for the defenders, 3 below, although they do not account for Manu, who is prone by the hatch. He will find one. Yukio now in a 1 versus 3, but Ainoob is there to seal things out. Team 9 with an excellent kitchen dirt execute, and they manage to get that plant down, get all the frags, and put themselves ahead in this matchup.
Well, I mean, See, the thing is, when we try to dissect the scoreline with the way things are going, Jerry, any scoreline's viable. It's really when we start to see the later half, when the kind of natural splits and all that, etc., will kind of be defined, and we'll see good definition on what actually both teams need to do in the next half. But with this being said, I mean, Clubhouse has been really defender-sided today. We've seen a real good resurgence from these defenders, but whether that's good cut down to good plays or bad decisions is another story indeed. As we do head on to our next site, which will be a return to CCTV and cash for IOM.
Yep, makes perfect sense. They failed to defend here just now, well, a couple of rounds ago, and that's not what they want. They are now really up against it with Team 9 having their 3 attacking rounds. That's not good for IOM. That is not good at all. And you've got to say that it's a lack of killing potential in a lot of cases. I can't think of a single moment from IOM where I thought, nicely done. They managed to string together a couple of kills. The one moment I can recall was DJ7 on the first Shurst defense, holding down Moto and getting a couple of frags from that position. But even then, that ended in a Team 9 victory. Oh, sorry, no, that was a Scipio victory. That was the clutch that Valkyrie managed to pull out. So it did make a bit of a difference. Once they are managed to string together a couple of kills, they do get these round wins. But it's got to be more consistent than that, because right now, there are some big gunners on the side of 9, namely Reich, who are just making sure that they always have some kind of man advantage going into the final minute or so. And that is costly for IOM.
Yeah, it could be really costly. And another thing that we need to talk about here is, C-Team, when IOM lost CCTV and cash, fair enough, like, sometimes a good decision to continue your rotation in the grand scheme of things, Jerry. But surely you would want to revisit again and adjust to what the other team were doing. But, I mean, the only adjustment being made in this round is the fact that Yukio has decided to go out for a run out and get more aggressive.
Taking down Reich as well, that's huge. Like, we've seen Yukio get the opening frag a couple of times now, both on this cash site, but taking out Reich is the biggest deal of them all. A successful breach onto that server wall as well, and now a lot of pressure can come through from the attackers. They only have a couple of sets of nades, and Reich has been so effective with those nades that I don't know if these other guys are as capable. They'll have to prove me wrong. Scipio holding from Lounge does have this wall open to try and contest towards Garage, as the breach has been made in lower Garage. Deathly taking a bit of damage. There's lots of engagements taking place across the map. Inoob has managed to sneak his way into Lounge, though, just pushing down Swamp. Catches out the Valk, but the refrag is there from Benji. James lands Scipio, and in fact, it was only a down. Scipio confirmed the kill with the frag. That was confusing. James does take out Yukio as well inside a Lounge, and a second onto Benji. The Sledge doing God's work right now. He has stepped up in lieu of Reich, taking out all of these magnets from beneath, and now in a 3 versus 2, they have a couple of frag grenades in the hand of Aztec to try and unseat this player. DJ7 realizes that he needs to make sure that Deathly doesn't die a death alone. He's trying to contest with him. Deathly spraying down, does take out James. Malu with the refrag though onto Deathly. Now DJ7 in 1 versus 3 as James has been rezzed.
Well, we do need to get the diffuser down soon. There's one player holding from outside playing that Overwatch position, but one spray can really take out of James and Mali. But now the information has been relayed. They know where DG7 is. He's taken up position on top of red. One player below in Garage. And, well, we need to know where this potential defuser is going to go down. And it looks as if DG7 has decided to actually go for a retake in towards Garage. No, he's pre-fired, but that doesn't even give away his position. James didn't react, and he's taken out the Overwatch position from Garage. Well, Malik has dropped down. He's going to go into, I guess, a repel position, just hold down the diffuser. This is really advantage defenders here as the time ticks down. DJ7 taking his time, got to pick up Aztec and Mali, and he's got to cross this open breach. He does put a lot of damage in towards Aztec, can't pick up the frag just yet, continuing to contest. A frag grenade comes out. This could potentially damage Aztec. He's going to move straight into the open breach, and Mali will pick up that frag.
Excellently played post plant there by the attackers. You could see all of the defending players that weren't alive sitting on those Valk camps, so plenty of intel to go round, but no yellow pings coming through. So indirect intel, if anything. You know, ruling out where the attackers aren't is super important, as you can somewhat deduce where they might be. You can imagine that one of those outcomes potentially was out towards the highway side by the vans. You know, making sure that no one's playing on that highway window in the post plant does mean that you know that they're probably a bit closer. Potentially a camera inside of garage, as we saw the push come through very, very quickly, and maybe not enough time to look behind them, especially. In fact, no, there can't have been a camera in garage because Aztec the Jaeger pre-fired the wrong place when it came to the retake. So yeah, odd placement of cameras, perhaps. I don't know. Either way, very nicely done in the post plant by IOM. They had the angles set up, and that frag grenade in particular, I think, was a lovely touch. Making sure that you couldn't push through that door, just buying a bit of time, not cooking the nade, just making it a present threat. It's very effective in a post plant if you have one spare.
I will be honest, I genuinely did think that Aztec was potentially going to damage himself a bit too much and leave himself open to like a potential bit of a spray. I feel really sorry for DG7 because he did almost pick up that frag, and I mean, it's really a 50-50 coin toss between whether he can actually pick up this initial headshot onto the player that was repelled or whether he can't. But a little pre-fire up front, right, trying to see if he can pick up some drones. Didn't really do anything, and they've not even done a rotate here, Jerry. That could leave late setup open for, I mean, manipulation from these attackers.
Yeah, it looks like Reich is on the job with that robot arm. But, oh no! Oh! Jump in the pit, my friend! James, you were the hero last round. Some nice work on the sledge, but you can't do anything if you're dead. That's not a fun start for Team 9 as they begin the defensive split. Almost comical the way that the Valkyrie just collapsed into the basement there. But you love to see it. I love the ragdolls in this game. Anyway, 4 versus 5 now in favour of the attack. And with a lot of frag grenades on board here, yet again, DJ7, very nicely done. Getting on this early rappel to try and get a pick. You make your own opportunities and you're rewarded for them. That's what you like to see for IOM. And now, Selma comes out onto a soft wall. That's interesting. Do we actually we have Yukio on the Zofia? Surely that's a better use of utility. Oh well. Out it goes. They may have destroyed a Selma of their own. But what? Okay, I don't know.
There's no point.
They can afford to make mistakes. They're 5v3 up, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. They're trying to displace Ainub again with more frag grenades being thrown all the way in through main breach. Key position there, and really interesting deciding to absolutely yeet that all the way through. But whether that's going to get some worth, surely you'd want to be more accurate by going in towards garage. But Wright is holding that down, picking up the Habana, but she's already done her work, so really you're only losing a gun in that position. Maybe burn in forms of flashbangs, but it won't matter as Reich is really trying to grab this round back from the clasp of his opponents, because IOM have taken a real advantage. 4 versus 2 up, Reich getting ready to swing the breach, picks up one that is deathly and decides to retreat on towards Red Stairs. More information, trying to, I guess that may have confirmed his position before it got muted, but we're going to see later in the round.
Information, as we know, is only good for a few seconds in this game as he repositions Yukio, holding this angle towards construction, expecting that rotate, but everyone on the attack being very careful with their movements now. Scipio cooking a frag grenade, sending it deep into cash. It is caught by an ADS, however. Reich, with him still alive, playing in these very cheeky positions. You can't write him off. He can have an impact no matter what, but he goes to the aggressive play and is caught out by DJ7. They have the hard breach going down now on the top of the catwalk, and that's going to make things very difficult for Aztec, who, if he walks into server, has to contend with a plethora of angles. DJ7 now getting the diffuser down. The cover is there, and Yukio will win the heads-up gunfight there. Crouch is working for him in that instance. Doesn't expect it, and the constant pre-fire from that LMG. 150 bullets. Why not spend them all at once?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, when you've got so many bullets and, I mean, little targets, why not just spray it straight into where any sort of entrance could be manipulated? They did have a bulletproof camera, so I guess they had the initial information as to where Yukio would be playing. But, I mean, you've got 2 more people to contest. I think maybe the misplay there for the defenders was the fact that Rooney decided to get so aggressive. Maybe if had just played a little bit further back and just held a long angle, could be very much a better idea. But, well, I guess IOM, they take the first round, and as they head to Church and Arsenal for their next attack, I can see so far that they're much more comfortable on their attack rather than on towards their defence.
Yeah, it seems that way, and that has been the flow of the game so far after the 4-2 split in favour of 9. So maybe we are just seeing this kind of newer, you know, attacker-favoured clubhouse that comes out from time to time. Certainly with a Monty ban, you consider that potentially soft when you leave Maverick on board. He's so present, and he has been ever present in this game. I think he's got a 100% pick rate. And he just makes things a lot easier for the attack. If he's off the board, then you've got a much harder task, and suddenly War Denial becomes a valid approach for the defensive side. But, you know, consistently, I do like the fact that both defensive sides have read into the fact that because the Maverick is there, there's not too much point electrocuting a wall. There's not too much point muting a wall. It's going to get open. You want to lean into these more, you know, utility soak heavy operators, ones that make a bit more impact when it comes to the push, or ones that gain you an early edge, like the Valkyrie. And yeah, they're playing around that. Unfortunately, though, it is attacker favoured so far. As we see IOM, they are starting off their attack with a full roam clear. Lots of droning coming through. And it is fairly well coordinated. I like to see that. Bit better. They get a 7 out of 10 compared to 9's 5 out of 10 on the roam clear in my books.
I thought you were going to make a 9 joke there.
Oh, that would have been perfect. Yeah. 5 out of 9. Damn it. Missed opportunities.
Missed opportunities indeed. I did not miss my opportunity when I made a German joke with the fact that 9 means no.
I missed that.
But...
You see, I'm just not on it today. I'm usually all over the puns.
Well, I mean, the good thing is, though, is IOM are really trying to, I guess, make that kind of error percentage lower and lower by clearing out any sort of roamers that could be going and trying to look about. I guess probably they're trying to pick up Reich, especially considering the fact he is already on 14 kills. And I mean, I know Max nearly got up to it. Oh no, who's that?
Oh no!
Aggressive. James, is that James?
No, it's
Inoob. Oh god, that could have been a misplay there. I couldn't work out from the outline, but oh my god.
Yeah, he's playing very aggressively here. He does have these Grishmots stationed around, but he's extending past their realm, and these magnets as well are somewhat extended. He's going to send out a Grishmot as he... Wait, what? Did that again?
I believe that was a grenade.
No, what destroyed the Grishmot?
Yeah, I think it was a grenade.
What?
I don't know what it was, but I'm sure it was a grenade.
That's bizarre. But there wasn't an explosion. Maybe?
Fragmentation.
Oh, that's weird. Anyway, let's turn our attention back to what's actually happening in front of us. The shield is destroyed. Inoob with the Scorpion does flee a bit too early. Aztec is rewarded with a kill onto Benji elsewhere, however, so a trade coming through, taking us to a 4 versus 4, as Deathly has control of Dirt, knows that there's a player behind these cases. Just waiting for the drone work to come through. No frags in hand, no drones either to burn this Aruni gate, so we will have to tank it when it comes down to it, and that's very costly potentially. With only about 35 HP, he'll be on very low health should he decide to push through there. There's a bit of main pressure coming down as well from IOM. They need to mount an attack from multiple directions. There we go, that's smart.
Yeah, well, it is smart, but here we go. All the frags are starting to come out. DJ7 is taking a ton of damage from this Maestro Camera. A huge C4 on towards Skippy with the plant going down. But he'll be down, not confirmed by the Valkyrie. A great round there from 9 to just try and deny and just take their time. They didn't need to get too aggressive, but that is Team 9 taking a 2-round advantage back from IOM as they decide to retry CCTV and Cash.
That was a very close affair, and you could see that Deathly was just being held at bay by that Aruni gate for slightly too long, because time was a factor in that final push. Had they gotten enough time, then there would have been the opportunity to maybe do a little bit of extra drone work, locate a couple of extra defenders, and not get caught out. Yes, here we go. Yeah, the Gemini was big brain, as we said. They dropped it through, and then they dropped through the kitchen hatch and allowed Deathly to push through. It was big brain, but the denial was there. And the fact that they had to spend the drone, the Gemini, on that gate was down to the fact that the Ella did actually have an impact holding Dirt Tunnel. She may not have killed someone, but she brought him down to low enough HP that that Surya gate represented a genuine threat to one of that team, and it represented a threat to the Execute for IOM. They had to deal with it to get enough bodies on the board and ready to push through. So, just these tiny little interactions, these tiny back and forths, made such a huge difference in that round and gave IOM a bit of a headache, shall we say, as 9 are now 2 rounds ahead. A bit of daylight between themselves and their opposition, returning back to this cache site.
See, the thing is, though, see on this cache site, genuinely, that potentially laser mine could be pretty good later in the round, considering the fact that it does stop the plant going down if time does get that low. But one thing I'm going to say is I can predict this being IOM's round, just considering how efficient they were on attacking. And essentially, they were really efficient in attacking the last round as well, if you think about it, Jerry, because the way that they kind of did all the kind of right basic things, the only problem being that they didn't actually, I guess, they just didn't execute right. That would be the one kind of hindrance, I would say. But at the same time, though, it was a decent enough execute to form a formidable challenge to the defenders. So with that being said, I believe that, I mean, IOM could really be taking us, and we do head to a 5-4 kind of round count here. But, well, with that, we need to see what that is going to be the case, as we do see plenty of extended holds from these defenders.
Good early work being done by Deathly. Completely solo, no support there, and making sure he got that wall breached, or at least soft, quite efficiently. Reich is always a factor. You have to contend with this guy. He's playing in this sort of playmaker's position, shall we say, of Lounge, where you've got the opportunity to peek on multiple different angles, multiple different positions, depending on where the attackers choose to come from. More often than not, it will be that garage and you're supporting your Rafters player. But they do also have to contend with the fact that James, the Mozzie, is roaming quite far around that gym bathroom area, and we can see Yukio dropping in to try and hamper this roam. They don't necessarily have the cutoff in place yet. What they really want is someone on that highway window, maybe someone below to stop the retreat from the Mozzie. As we saw, he spent his C4 on the hatch to give him an access route out. He's holding this angle, expecting the push, playing his life right now. And this is perfect stuff from Team 9. Look at the timer, 1 minute 8, and still a full set of bodies on the defense. If James gets away with a kill here, then that could spell disaster for IOM.
It really could spell disaster, but the thing is, though, the information has been given out. Can they pick out the frag? No, they can't. James escapes. DJ7 has taken out Reich, which could essentially be a bigger pick if you could argue that. No disrespect to any other player on the team, but Reich has really been popping off in this game so far, and 40 seconds remain as Aztec takes out DJ7, a man who has been on a bit of a mission himself, but with the frag grenade going out, netting absolutely nobody, but I believe the G36 will Inoob taking out Deathly, Scipio on a rampage right through the site, picking up 3! Inoob has to go on towards the retake, the Legion, with only one impact left. Nobody will get downed if that impact hits, and 2 players to set up a crossfire. I believe it is the Habana who's decided to really go and play passive in towards construction. Scipio holding the angle from red, trying to push through that bulletproof camera, giving absolutely no information away. I believe that impact will go out to try and distract the players, but picking up absolutely nobody. Loads of damage going out, and Inoob with absolutely no chance. IOM pick up that round.
And Scipio take a bow. That was a masterclass from the Yana. Even before he got the 3rd and the 4th to, you know, put a couple of cherries on that cake. It was a beautiful play that sort of enforced his way into the site. We saw the first nade come out towards the top of Redstead. He didn't expect to get a kill with it. All it did was allow himself the cover to be able to push directly into Cash and take the heads-up gunfight 1 versus 1 against a player around the bomb chassis. He wins that, and then he engages on the player at top of Red, gets that kill too, and wins in the post plant. Absolutely perfection. Absolute perfection from Scipio in that round. Fully deserving the 4K. He'll want to add that one to his highlight reel, and closing the distance between his team and Team 9. They are all behind, but a good cash take, and the second successful cash attack coming through from IOM is not actually making Team 9 think twice about their site selection. They are sticking this for a 3rd time. They need to do something different to make it work now.
It really is worrying, the fact that they're not attempting the tertiary site of Gym Bedroom, and because you're thinking here, Jerry, that I mean, I know there's the kind of unknown quantity of defending it for the first time and then giving away that 5-5, but now you're essentially just handing a kind of almost small advantage to IOM since they have been so successful on attacking this. But on top of that, though, it seemed as if Nine almost had the answer. They just kind of lost key gunfights, in my opinion. When you think towards, it really came down to Scipio going in through that site and going and picking up those frags and really taking the initiative for his team. So I don't know whether this really is going to be the same kind of scoreline. I believe Team 9 could actually go on towards match point here.
The bans are really stunting Team 9 as well. They banned out Monty, which speaks to the fact that they want to defend Cash and they want to defend it soundly. Because otherwise you ban out the Maverick and make sure that, you know, gym defenses are made a hell of a lot easier. Because Monty's just not as proficient there. But, you know, the presence of Maverick overall is effective on every single part of this map. So he's making it easier for the IOM now on the attacking half to get this wall open, to apply pressure to make sure that Cash is not an easy side to defend. It never is when he's available. Reich is playing aggressive, and he will be surely rewarded. No, he just whiffs the shots, unfortunately, against Death. He doesn't take a single bit of damage there. Excellent blowtorch work, to be fair, aiming it as low as possible to make sure that that angle is very difficult to pull off. And he is rewarded with, well, the preservation of his own life, as Reich is now forced into this catwalk position. Interesting role swaps going on here. The operators stay the same, but the positions are swapped around. Facing down a couple of drones, does need to stay alive here and grab a couple of frags, but Scipio, he continues where he's left off, taking out Reich in the early round, and that's great early control of Garage for IOM.
Well, with the garage control being picked up, this is huge for the execution that needs to come through. Ionub trying to rotate and deny the stairs, but you're too late, mate. Rafters is already in favour of these attackers, and this could again be a misplay here as we do see the Renegade actually being burned by the Ayana Gemini. That'll be good for if we do see any sort of jump in from Yukio. A bit of a misplacement of that air jab, and finally we do see, I believe that was a mute jammer going, getting burned out as well. So far so good. The diffuser attempt is going to come out early here, Jerry, as the 45-second timer is starting now.
And some great drone work coming through to make sure that this C4 can't happen. A good cover by Benji, but Maliu will land one of his own, and Ainoob, especially with that frag as well, make sure that we have some hope here. As a defensive side, Team 9, 3 versus 3 in the post plant. Very difficult retake, though, with plays outside on multiple angles. Aztec has to get this, but he can't quite land the shots. Deathly and him trading blows there. Ainoob going beneath to try and take out someone in garage, but caught out by the air jab. Mali is there ahead of him, trying to find the Hibana, but 18 seconds left, Cairo, and Ainoob can't find it. Aztec does get Deathly, but Ainoob is being taken down. Benji doing hard work here as the Hibana. Aztec trying to stick the defuse denial, but Yukio hopping on in. Surely they can't hold this. Benji credited with that final kill. 3 kills in the post plant from the Hibana. Excellent stuff. And that has closed the gap completely. We're at tie game.
We are at a tie game, and that was an absolutely huge post plant there. Even though IOM got the plant down, it wasn't safe. The post plant wasn't as secure as what it should be, but well, they did the business that they needed to do, and they got the frags that they needed. So at the end of the day, though, we can try and criticise for certain decisions, but at the end of the day, they had at least 2 men up at the kind of closing of the round. So well played to IOM. But now, Church and Arsenal is where we're going to see IOM attack next. And Team 9 were very proficient in defending this. They went for more of a turtle hold. Not much roamers coming out here. What? Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
I am now. I looked up the moment you stopped talking. I was like, has Cairo disconnected from the call? No. Ainoob has disconnected from his brain. That's what's happened. So... Caveira, ladies and gents, this is a rarity in competitive Siege, and it excites everyone because it's a lot of fun. Obviously, if you played the game at any level, you will know what this operator does. She is a high roller. You do not want to be caught with your pants down if this lady is on the prowl, because she will make your team pay for it. That interrogation mechanic is so costly, and she is detected. They do know that there is a Caveira about, after that drone work coming through from Deathly very early on. So, I will know to tread carefully. But, with the Mozzie in play and the pests out, there may be the opportunity to make it a lot harder for her to be located. She's going to be hiding somewhere. I'm excited to see what Ainoob tries, where he's being pesky, where he wants to hide, or whether he's just going to be an anchor and make IOM scratch their heads a little. No, he's hiding in freezer. Good Kavera. That's what you should do.
Well, the reason why I was getting a bit, I was getting a bit worried about the fact that Kavera pick came out, right? It wasn't because the actual operator, yes, she's a bit of a kind of high risk, high reward operator, right? But when you think about it from this perspective, what did IOM do straight away when they went for their attack? They went for a good roam clear, really proficient, but I mean, they're not really going for it this time. They're just going to go directly on towards Sight and Deathly, creeping down dirt with absolutely no from any sort of defenders here. This could really cut the site in half and allow for very little rotate as Mali is close and right, merely getting aggressive here. Does he know? He'll know now as he hears the barbed wire getting break. Plenty of bullets being traded back and forth, but nobody picking up anything. This drone was actually active. Scipio giving away information there, but right getting out with his life, and I mean, guess you could say it's almost Deathly that was actually the one who loses out on that one.
I was worried that we were about to see a veggie patch attack coming through here from IOM, but they have thankfully taken control of Kitchen and are beginning to empty out the players inside of Armory before sending Deathly through. Because if he were to go through without those angles open him up, without those hatches opened, then it would be to his demise, most certainly. The Mozzie of James is still lurking alongside Ainoob. Manu is being forced out of Armory as we can see the drone work and the frags coming through to displace him. James trying to land some shots onto the Nomad. Ainoob being locked in place. C4 going out to create a vertical angle for James, and he's not actually going to use it. He's just going to make sure that they have to think about it. The spray comes through with the pistol. Louison gets his first kill of the match, and there we also have a frag coming through for the defenders. A second one onto Deathly. No Nomad, no Maverick. 3 versus 5 for IOM as they look to execute now purely through this dirt tunnel with DJ7 supporting above. Benji does find that that Mozzie, but the returning fire is there from right onto DJ7. In fact, a direct trade between the Mozzie and the Sledge. Scipio takes out Aztec with a frag grenade, a well-placed one at that, and it's a 2 versus 2 now. Malu has the read on the attack because he's got these evil eyes in place, and Scipio has found his way into Armory. It's the Maestro and the Kavera, two opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to defensive operators. The diffuser is being set. A couple of sprays onto these players. Can't quite connect. Oh no, what whiffs these are, but he falls off the diffuser. Ainoob responds though with a kill. Scipio can get the refrag, but Mali is there with the crossfire from blue. What a clutch coming through from the Maestro, and they push themselves on to match point.
I just seen the swing happen from Scipio, and I was like, no way does he swing on and tap his head. It was going to be one of those ones where it's just like pure chance, where he just keeps the left trigger down and manages to pick up the head of the person moving through the rotate. Just so unfortunate, but a complete misplay by Scipio not to react by the Kavera, pushing in through Ash Rush wall. But what do we see here, Jerry? What is the first time we're going to head to for Team 9? It is Gym Bedroom. Finally, we see the tertiary site come out. Finally, they are making adjustments.
Yeah, and it's totally telegraphed as well, right? Because they've got that mirror on side. So this is something that Iowa will know. They would expect this because obviously Team 9 have struggled hugely with the cash defense. 3 attempts and 3 failures. They have to go here, realistically. It would be folly not to. They bring that Frost. She's very strong here. 6 picked 2 as well, so well hidden. But plenty of the entryways that you want to be using onto this site are vaults. They are windows, they are vaults into bathroom. And even here, the gradual control is going to be contested by a well-placed map. You stick a mirror next to that, and it's, you know, it's not necessarily your priority to be looking down when you're vaulting over that. Quite often, the best way to unseat that mirror position is go beneath, to get some frags out from below, because it can't be protected by ADSs in any way if you do that. However, it looks as though the mirror is not being placed in that position. Oh no. That's a big oopsie, because no way is that a skin issue. Deathly has been playing the Maverick consistently. That is a default cam being shot out, and a Maverick's head just happening to line up with it.
Oh no, that's going to be absolutely huge for the defenders. They're going to be buzzing. Well, they don't know, but they're going to be buzzing with that one because that is the Maverick gone. That's your kind of, I guess, your Maverick, your Thatcher equivalent gone. So now that leaves, like almost every single wall that much safer, and especially with the mirror windows in play and the fact that the Habana is being brought. I mean, those ex-Cairo pellets will now need to be used a lot more. You can't help. So I was just about to say, you can't help but feel that with this that kind of pick or that TK coming out. Oh, wait a minute. I mean, I guess we could maybe see a rush coming through.
Oh,
but,
no.
Oh, this is heartbreaking stuff.
It's not even soft, I don't think. So, oh, okay, no, it is soft, so they are able to shoot through it to an extent, I believe. Yeah, that looks like it is just soft wall, so they should be able to open it up, but... Or maybe not. No, that's hard wall on the far side. You can see the slight dark tinge to it. Oh, that is heartbreaking. Malu can easily deny this. Nothing is going right for IOM here. They are on the cusp of overtime, but Scipio with oh no! Calamity after calamity. Noob takes out DJ7 as well, and now it's a 2 versus 5. Team 9 are being gifted this win right now. Malu goes for the spray on the Habana just outside. Yukio is sending out an air jab, but that's going to be easily dealt with by anyone that wants to swing out of Logi. Noob with the second on the round, and now it's all up to Yukio. He hasn't even got a breach that he can push through. This is just sorry stuff for Team 9, for IOM right now. Team 9, they will claim it with a flawless round. You hate to see it. Oh, and it's the pistol hip fire. No. That's not Siege. That wasn't around. Team 9. They get the win, but how did that happen?
How like not disappointing, but like how heartbreaking is it like after having such a good game as Siege where everything's going really well, everybody's doing like really good things, and then like we have that last round to like kind of finish it all up. It's just heartbreaking because that's not the match you want. You don't want a match to end like that. I was hoping for a little bit of overtime, 3 rounds to come out, and I mean if that was the case, I believe it's only IOM that could confirm top 4. But hey ho, it is what it is. We do see Team 9 confirm top 4 for the playoffs that starting next week. I guess this means that the game this weekend is almost it's a nothing game for them, but we wanted to see if they play it like that.
Yeah, I mean, it is a nothing game for them, but Ludens will be going for it because they want that seeding. Yeah. And honestly as well, Team 9 will want the higher seeding than Ludens. In fact, next week, that is the top 2 playing each other. That's exciting. Yeah. Team 9 versus Ludens. So you could, build those as 2 favourites potentially for the whole season for the entire championship. And that is the very, very last game of the regular season on Sunday. So that'll be a real corker to look forward to. I won't be part of that. I'm not going to be here, but it's going to be an exciting one nonetheless. So Team 9, they're top at the end of the penultimate Playday. 16 points is their tally. That is incredible. So just to give you guys a little bit of a kind of insight into what's going to happen this weekend, we do have Atlas versus PW. That'll be, I guess, I guess Atlas will have a somewhat advantage to maybe move up into that playoff position. We have Veggie Patch versus MILF, Wombats versus IOM. So, I mean, that's your kind of first play day here, Jerry. And most of them are kind of nothing games. I guess IOM will be looking to confirm their top 4 spot. Atlas will be trying to confirm PW, and the rest of it's just kind of confirming who's going to be playing who and when it comes to the matchup on that first day. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that seeding is what it's being played for now. Like, most of these positions are more or less solidified, but it's such a close league still, even going into the final week, that I think to call them nothing games is a little bit harsh. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean that. I just meant... Yeah. It's we know what you mean. We know what you mean. Yeah. So, yeah. That's it. That's it from us today. Kyra, it's been an absolute pleasure casting these games. Yesterday was a very strange one. We did a couple of washouts and a forfeit. And today we've been treated to some very, very close clubhouse matches. So, very, very different days, but entertaining nonetheless. So I'm glad that you were here with me for them, and I'm very happy to have been treated to these games by the Impeccable Dan on observation, and with Noah providing a production for today. So thank you very much to those two. Thank you very much to the players for coming along, trying their hardest. Congratulations to Veggie Patch and Team 9, our winners for today. That's going to be it from us. So do come along on Saturday. Make sure that you catch the final regular week of Badass University All-Stars Season 3. We will see you then. Goodbye.